Let's go! It's Friday, everybody! Welcome to the stream! How is it going for everybody today? We got Paint Liquor, Memory Gardens. How is it going, everybody? Hope y'all are having a fun afternoon so far. I don't know about you, but I am. Today is freaking awesome, and I'm caffeinated, so let's go. I'm gonna work on this guy today. Darth Vader. Lion Creative, what's up? Paint Liquor, you are ready for the weekend. That's awesome. Yeah, let's paint some freaking... We're gonna paint a lot of black today. Let's see here. How do we want to do this? Let's do some blue-black. And then... probably some dark gray blue after that. Ow, son of a gun. That hurt. Whew. You got your monument shipping notification. That's freaking awesome. Dude, a lady baked bread in her mailbox in Houston? That's kind of horrifyingly hilarious. Punisher, caffeinated J, let's go! I mean, it's funny because it's... I can't tell if it's the caffeine or if it's the extension of my, like, having a pretty awesome morning. So, I'm having a good time. It's Friday. I'm having a chill time of it. We're enjoying life to the fullest. And we're going to paint up some Vader. This model is sick, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but I think this model is actually fantastic. So we're going to start out with blue-black in the airbrush. And I might have to kind of out. Payne's gray instead. Let's go. Work two. A little bit more blue, which I think actually is probably what I was looking for. Okay. So we're gonna hit this very lightly from the top. So the idea is we're going to build up this blue color, and then we're going to get it to as much of a highlight as we can, and then we're going to bring it all back down with the with black transparent after we're done. But the idea is for this to all be very, very subtle. Very, very subtle color. I hope this is coming up on stream. Payne's Gray is the best choice. I agree. Payne's Gray is such a fantastic color. And just a little bit of color there. It's very subtle. Then we're going to hit the top part of the cape here. Let me move this way. So we're hitting that shoulder area. We're actually going to hit the this area right here on the back of the helmet. Because there's that crevice, right? It goes back to that point and then it comes out. So we want to capture that. A little bit on the cloak right there. The nice part is black can be really fast to paint too. Because once you kind of get a good idea of how you want to approach it, it's all just making sure you get the right contrast in there. Okay, let's see here. Who we got? We got Paint. We got Source comes in. Hello, Alola. Alola. Alolan? Hello, we're talking about Pokemon. Aloha. Flying solo for the moment. We are going to have Jason here. It is going to be approximately 2 seconds ago. When he opened the door and popped into to the stream room. So, ask and you shall receive. Source.
Hi. Have I been summoned?
Sort of.
Oh, no.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Oh.
To be honest. They asked if I was running solo and then you came into the room. So, yeah, I'll call that a summoning if I've ever seen one before.
Hi.
Dragonfire, Rancid Vomit, hello. Panic Bomb Arcade, what's up? Good afternoon. Hope y'all are having a fun Friday.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, I had a phone call. Well, I had a call come in. So
at the 11th hour.
At the 11th hour I had to take.
Morgana. It's a Morgana.
There. Have him stare at your palette as you paint Darth Vader
with an airbrush. For right now.
Oh, well,
I will be getting.
Well, then they can stare at my palette. Rancid Vomit says, "Working, not fun. Fun Friday later, maybe." All right, awesome. Keep up the positive attitude. Source summoned me. Magic. Say his name 3 times and he shall appear. Beetlefuse, Beetlefuse, Beetlefuse. Oh, what happens if I say it 3 times? Are we just screwed? Fuseception?
Well, if you're here and you say it 3 times, do you disappear then?
This is very confusing to me. I'm not real sure.
That's a good question. I think these are the answers that we must find.
I don't know. I'm not real sure that I even know what we're talking about.
I mean, do I ever know what we're talking about? Don't answer that.
Am I supposed to answer this question?
Don't answer that. I don't think I'll like the answer.
Am I supposed to answer this question? Not sure if I was supposed to answer that.
Ready? We got a Tim.
That's a lie. Tim? There's no such thing as a Tim.
Whoa, did you see the awesome stuff that Tim was cooking?
Food-wise?
Yeah, on the Discord.
Tim is known to be a little bit of a chef.
And be barbecuing some stuff. It looks super good.
Out there in Pennsylvania.
Makes me hungry because, I'm going to be honest, that steak that I made last night, not so good.
What?
Yeah.
How'd you screw up a steak?
I mean, I didn't screw it up, but it could have been better. I also, smoke bombed my house.
Yeah, fire alarm and everything.
I didn't get the fire alarm to go off, thankfully. I got to it pretty quick, but I had to open both of the windows in my living room.
Oh no!
And vent out, which
no.
is not super awesome.
Oh no!
In 115-degree weather.
Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah, I was like, I am not opening my front door.
Yeah, I think the first time we learned Tim's affinity for cooking was when he started talking about his hot sauces and stuff.
Yeah, he was talking about some barbecue sauce he was making. Yeah, I saw that, Tim. It looks sick. Bakamaru Omnicron Samurai, what's up? Welcome to the Friday Fun Time.
Friday Fun Time?
Hey, are we not having fun?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, look, I can make it a little bit more of a downer if you really want me to, but I don't think we want that.
Yeah.
I also want to warn you, I'm caffeinated.
It's been a good day so far. I've actually gotten some stuff off of my to-do list today.
That's awesome.
2 things.
You know what's funny is, so remember how we were talking about yesterday about people coming to talk to you in the morning and then them having to take something off your to-do list?
Yes.
So I was expecting you to be here before I got here. So I was going to come into your office and do that
I was
this
late
morning.
today.
But you showed up and I was already in my office and you said hello. So I was like, dang it, I can't do it now.
I was functionally late today. I was only here 10 minutes before the open time.
You're right though. Getting up early,
It changes the whole day.
it really does.
If you live, and this is a word of wisdom for everybody out there. I'm old, I get it. If you wait to wake up at the last minute, your whole day is shot.
Yeah.
Right? If you are one of those people that's like, I could just use that 15 minutes of sleep, your whole day is shot most of the time. And you're the culprit, right? Get up, get your ass out of bed, right? When you wake up, don't lay there and hit the snooze button. Get up, utilize your time better.
I did not hit
Even if
snooze.
you get to the office early or go get a coffee or whatever, right? Just being up and having your brain working before you have to sit at your computer or whatever and do the actual work makes the actual start of your day so much better.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It just does.
I will be doing making the appropriate adjustments.
It's a big deal. It's something that took me a long time to put together. I was a snooze buttoner.
Yeah.
And I've never used an alarm clock in my life, so that's kind of a lie. But I had that mentality. I was like, I'm gonna lay here until the last possible minute. I'm milking this morning. It's a waste. Quit it. Those last 15 minutes or so after a few snoozes are glorious. Quit it, man. You're doing yourself a disservice. They don't do absolutely anything for you. Proof. Quit it. I have no idea what I'm doing. Literally, sometimes I just kind of look at myself and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Having fun.
Yeah,
Painting
there
some
is
stuff.
that. I'm putting paint on a model.
Hey, man.
It can't get much worse.
Well, don't tempt fate like that. Because it can.
That was sarcasm. Can't get any better than this.
And also get better.
It's funny, at night, you can lay there for several minutes before you finally fall asleep. Alarm wakes you up. You can hit snooze and out cold again in seconds. Yeah. Hey, T. Schmidt, what's going on, man? Rhino, what's happening?
What up?
The snoozing is for mentally preparing yourself for the day. I like at least 3 snoozes to fully wake up.
Oh my god, no. I'm so over that.
So if you bake your snoozes in, if that's just some sort of glorified morning process for you, but you're still waking up on time, because like Jen says that, but I know she wakes up on time and she's not running behind. She knows she's got her schedule is all built around, and if your schedule has the snoozing built in because you just like that snooze life, that's a different thing. What I'm talking about is if you use the snooze as like a security blanket against having to face the day, right? It's not process at that point. It's laziness. I think that thespian of plastic should be the spiano plastic.
It absolutely should be.
Love these
I am
streams
on
when you
board.
go on break, motivates you to do some hobby stuff. Awesome, thespian. Welcome back. Rancid, I don't use alarms because that was my problem. If I use an alarm, I wake up before the alarm goes off and I don't sleep well because I know that I'm going to get waken up by an alarm. It's a weird thing for me. Like if I know I have a morning flight, I don't sleep that night because I know I got to get up at a specific time and I got all that scheduling going on. It's crazy for me. So alarms just aren't my gig at all. Like as a teenager, I probably had to have one because I was horribly irresponsible. But I have not done an alarm in my adult years, I don't think ever, unless I know I got to get up at like 3 a.m. for some reason to leave. Then I got to set an alarm because I will sleep right the hell through 3 o'clock. Guaranteed.
Now we're getting into the area where we want to thin this out with some glaze and wash medium. Yeah.
Today is 1-1 scatter terrain day. Building a bed frame. Oh, 1-to-1 scale. I got you. You're building a real scatter terrain piece. A bed. In your house. I love that furniture is now scatter terrain. This is how it needs to be referred to by all nerds. Baka just posted your rough Vader from early in your painting to the Discord. Can't wait to see some ideas for how to retackle him. Nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm like building up some color in there, get some nice reflective highlights, and then I'm gonna tone it all down with some black transparent.
Jen's like, even as a kid, my mom used to have to come in and wake me up 3 times.
That's funny.
On the weekend, I'm like, I will, on a good day, I will try to make sure I take the dog to like the living room or something, or take her out to Starbucks or something so that Jen can sleep a little longer. Somehow she always ekes out more bedtime than I do. I just can't. Once I get into that mode, right? Like I get up at like 6:30, 6:45, and so on mornings when I wake up because the dog has had like a long previous day, and for some reason we wake up at like 7:45 or like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, what? Jen and I both are like, she let us sleep. But normally it's like 6, and Jen wakes up with her at like 5:30, takes her out, you know, or 6 and takes her out. And so then after they've gotten up and done the morning go out thing, I'm kind of in that waking haze.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, that's where it comes. It's like, you know, if I'm at that point where my brain starts thinking about like office stuff and things like that, just get up. Because laying in the bed doesn't do you any good. Say what? You get up early on weekends too? Every day. You know, and I gotta tell you that as horrible as it sounds, because I feel like we grow up thinking that the weekend is for sleeping in and doing the stuff, and you know, and like being lazy. I gotta tell you, the best weekends I have are where I've done so much before like 10 a.m. Yeah. And I sit there and at like 10 a.m. I'm like, oh, holy hell. You know, look at all the stuff we already did. Or it's only noon and we like go out and grab lunch, and then the rest of the afternoon you can just kind of screw off. You can be like, you know what's great 100%. Is relaxing to bedtime. Get up and do all the stuff, and then you realize you still have like 11 hours left in your day. So yeah, I'm a big fan. It's an old guy thing. Trust me, you'll get there.
I don't even necessarily think that's an old guy thing.
I'm drinking this.
Ooh, San Pellegrino. That is
blood orange and black raspberry. Tastes kind of like a dirty sock.
Not as good as the traditional like lemon.
I'm not as ancient as you, but I'm pretty old. Source, thank you. Thank you for that. You just built an IKEA bunk bed on Saturday and were sweating your butt off. They try to do that to you at your work, telling you need to be up at 2 a.m. You leave the night before no matter how close the stop. Yeah. You hate those unusually early days. You can't ever sleep because you get anxious that you'll never sleep.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. The T-Schmidt, that's manic. Stop that. Stop that. Well, hello, everybody. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Friday. Sliding into the weekend head first.
Head first.
Head first, man. You gotta slide into the weekend base head first.
Oh, man.
You gotta man mode it.
That's true.
Throw it out the window. No fear. Just get it done. We're working on Morgana's clothing. What little there is of it.
What little there's. It's so weird having a model that has such few like large pieces of detail.
There's not a whole lot of detail.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about yesterday. It's like I feel like I gotta spend more time on all the detail because there just isn't a lot of detail. Which is fine. I like it. But it's a lot different than what we've been working on, like the Death Knight, Dante,
God,
layer and layer of armor after armor after armor and more armor. What the hell with the armor? Today's day 1 of 10 days off and you're excited. I'm excited for you. Ooh. And not just a little bit jealous. I am the Jennifer Aniston meme. I am not at all jealous. Except I'm better looking than Jennifer Aniston, so I know that might be hard for you guys out there when I say that I'm kind of like the Jennifer Aniston meme, because you're like, but Fuse, Jennifer Aniston pales in comparison. How could you even lower yourself to those standards?
Yeah, why would you lower yourself to those standards?
You know, because I like to be inclusive of all the people in the world, and I like to raise them up. You know? I think Jennifer Aniston, I mean, she's okay. She deserves to kind of feel like, I hope you're watching, Jen, because, not Jen, but Jen, not my Jen, but that other Jen. I hope she's watching too, because I want her to feel like she has that level that she can attain, that we are thinking of her like that, so. Agitating all your paints because they've been sitting for too long. Death from Impulsor, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Today was the last day of working before 28 days of vacation, Source. Holy hell, 28 days? You're going to sleep in for 28 days just to spite me? I think you should. And let me know at the end of it how you feel about that. I know, T. Schmidt. I know, it's hard. It's hard being this beautiful. Time to take down the Jennifer Aniston poster and put up Fuse on the wall. Well, don't do that again. We're trying to raise people up. We're not trying to tear them down. Jen says, I'm sure she's watching. I just want one day when we're making fun of some celebrity for them to be in chat and say, you know what? I used to like you, Fuse. Like Jennifer Aniston. Yeah. Like the official Jennifer Aniston. Somebody in chat, change your name, your screen name to the official Jennifer Aniston real quick and say something like that to me so I feel validated.
That's hilarious.
I'm going to literally tear her down to put you up. I will send you a poster of myself. We are going to make Monument Hobbies Slow Fuse posters for that.
Oh my gosh.
Like me in a banana hammock.
Oh my god.
One of the benefits of being European and not US, here we have 5 weeks of vacation per year by law. There's so much I could say right now.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what I would do with 5 weeks of vacation.
There's so much I could say right
crazy.
now. So much I want to say right now. I really want to do the non-metallic gold, but I just can't. The way the model's layered, I gotta wait.
What do you have to do first?
I gotta do all this cloth, for Christ's sakes. Well, I'm kind of done. The purple I like.
Yeah, I was about to say, the purple looks very much done.
Yeah, the purple I don't have to do too much more. Maybe a little bit more bright highlight to it. I don't feel like I gotta do, but the red I gotta figure out. This burgundy I gotta figure out, because I don't like where it's at right now. I want it to be a little bit more kind of blood-like.
Are you gonna be airbrushing today?
I don't think I'm airbrushing today.
Okay, can I steal your water?
Yeah. Oh, this, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I ran out of water.
Jason and Banana Hammock miniature win. Dude, we can't make that because we wouldn't know what to do with all the sales we'd get. Every American in chat probably hates you right now. One of your Facebook profile pics is you in a banana hammock after placing first in a mustache comp in Jersey. That's awesome, Tim.
That's fantastic.
Source says you don't have to take all 5 weeks in one go. But you did. But let's just be honest, you did. You have to use your vacation to get your LASIK. You know, I can think of worse things, though, Tim. The LASIK is hopefully going to be a really big deal for you. I'm very excited for you. So,
yeah, that'll be awesome.
Hopefully that turns out to be everything you want it to be. I know when my stepdad got LASIK, it wound up being a pretty good thing for him. I know it had some had a few negative consequences. I think a little bit of headache in different lights that he had never experienced before, but that could just be because he wasn't used to being able to see that well.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to go away, if I understand.
So I think that's a worthy vacation. I'm bad at vacationing, so unfortunate for Jen, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to go anywhere. I'd go and I just think about work the whole time anyway.
Or just work.
I don't, yeah, or I just work the whole time anyway, right? It's like, hey, can I take my laptop to the beach? Because that's what I'd be doing.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, though. What about taking a work vacation, where instead of just being in an office, you're on like a nice beach with a good view and some margarita or something, and you can still take phone calls.
Okay, so here's the problem. We don't drink. And I know it sounds horribly base.
Well,
but so many vacation things are based
Alcohol
around like
based.
going and sitting and sipping a Mai Tai, you know? And I would get sick of like drinking a glass of water with, you know, cucumber slices in it on a beach after about 3 hours. I'd give it 3 hours. And then I'd be like, so about this.
Let's go back to the hotel.
so about this. Is there anything else to do? Can we go eat dinner? Then you eat dinner, you're like, are we going home now? Like, I think for me, one of the big things like that feels vacation-y, and this sounds silly, is like Jen and I used to go and do like a day trip out to some place in Arizona. We go to like Sedona or something like that, and go out and like, you know, walk around, see some things, have dinner, and then like come home.
Yeah.
You know, and that feels cool because it's like I'm back to the world I love. Okay, so here's the problem, guys. Don't ever create a business out of something you love because you'll only ever do that business.
That's true.
Everybody's like, but wait a minute. That doesn't check out because you love doing it. Exactly. Just be careful. Be careful doing something you love all day, every day, because it'll be all you do. You're like, but isn't that the definition of what you're trying to get to?
Yes.
Yes.
It just means you take less vacations.
Valhalla kills me. If Christmas Sushi was here in chat, I think he would let you know. Valhalla is tough for me. You know, we were talking about the possibility of doing like a hobby Valhalla here in Phoenix. And the reason why we wouldn't look at doing it someplace like the Utah Lodge or something like that is simply because I'm horrible at that. I can't let go. Getting away like that drives me bananas. You know, after a couple days, I'm like, can we go home now? I'm really bad.
Because knowing you, even if we had one here in Arizona, you'd probably be there for the day.
No, I'd be there. I'd be there the whole day, and I would really be there for the night and the whole nine, and then I would also figure out how to work. You know,
yeah. You probably have a laptop and check emails.
Or while classes were going on, I'd sneak off to the office.
Yeah.
Something. But you know, is what it is.
Fancy schmancy artists to do the classes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that I'm not teaching the classes. Yeah. We already decided that. Like, I'm bringing smart people in to do that stuff.
Wait. You're not smart?
Oh,
you are the pretty one.
I am pretty.
I
rely on you people to be smart. It's all I can do to just keep up the good looks over here.
There we go. I think we're done with the airbrush. Turn this thing off so it stops making noise.
Quit it with the noise already.
With the noise.
Jeez.
Alright. So we got some nice shiny value established. Now we're going to knock it up and then we're going to knock it back.
I'm painting red.
Red. More red.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I've mixed some Bold Pyro red with the burgundy right now. I'm doing this, so I can get a little bit of red in there, but I don't want pure red necessarily over the burgundy. I want it to feel like it actually has a home in that color space. And oh, like right there. See that? Oh. I need some alone time real quick, chat. Really liking this color. So can we talk about Noida?
Yeah.
It's time for our daily Noida discussion.
It's time for the daily Noida discussion.
I hate that game. I hate this game. When a hobby becomes work, it can easily stop being a hobby. So, Source, that is a good thing, right? To bring up is, and I'm being a tongue in cheek, downer when I say don't do something you love for work. But it is also a concern. Some people can't distinguish the difference, and they make they turn what they love into something they hate if they have to do it every day, and the monotony of it breaks it down for them. Being a paid for hire artist did that for me for drawing for a long time, for like drawing, inking, painting on like canvas and 2D stuff. Having to do it for money on a timeline screwed me. Like, I was like, I never want to draw another thing. Please cut my hand off. I'm done. That kind of stuff. And so I get that. That can be tough. You have to find a way to balance it, right? Faux show. Otherwise, it becomes something you don't love. And that's horrible. To lose a hobby like that'd be crazy.
I was there for a while with
You may not be able to get it, Tim. You have to wait until the day. I don't understand this. Don't they know? Or you're going to go in there and they're going to make a last minute decision based on what they see on your eye as they slice it open. Omicron says we're going to Tombstone, and when we booked it, we didn't realize it was going to be the hottest part of the year after it's been pretty nice mostly.
That's so funny. Whoopsies.
You don't drink either, but you do enjoy a cold beer in the warm weather. Well, I drank like wine with what we call our prison dinner last night.
Excuse me?
Can you guess?
Ramen.
I don't know what prison you're going to that they serve you ramen. That's not a thing.
Spaghetti? I don't know. What the heck?
Bread, cheese. We did bread and cheese. I have the app named Prison Dinner. Except it was fancy bread and fancy cheese, and I bought 4 little bitty plastic bottles of wine at the grocery store. They were like
my God.
$6 for 4 bottles.
That's so funny.
That's my kind of drinking. So I drank one of those plastic bottles of wine from the bottle, I'll have you know.
I'm proud of you.
So because the way you look at it is there's nothing you can do for wine that sat in a clear plastic bottle by decanting it into something else.
Other than make yourself sad.
I could put it into another clear plastic glass to feel a little better about myself.
Yeah.
But by that point, I was already crying, so there was no feeling any better. Which is true. Awesome. I actually cried last night watching Ted Lasso.
Oh,
holy, like
yeah.
like eye faucet at the funeral one.
Yeah.
Holy, Ted talking about his dad just broke me, dude.
Yeah.
Broke me. I'm sitting over there. I don't know what happened. I got something in my eye. Jen's over patting my arm. She's rock solid. She's sitting on the couch like laughing at it like there's something humorous going on. I'm literally over there going, oh my God, this is what it's like to be a man. I love the relationship between him and the counselor. It's really weird, right? As they figure, Jen says I'm dead inside. She says she's dead inside.
She said it, not you. You're good.
Paint Liquor, what's up? Got alert. What? Just curious, were you getting any of the bundles from Mindwork, like their whole season of busts, or will it be single purchases? Yeah. Single purchases. Yeah, they do their bundles when they do like the releases of stuff. They do like artist bundles, like you can buy all of the Jones stuff and things like that. We'll look at it later, but on the initial run, we don't have, because some of those are limited. So it'll take us a minute to get all that figured out, but they'll be available as single purchases. Death from Impulsor says, what is your take on those handheld compressors for airbrushing? Garbage. Pure and utter garbage. Don't do it. They are a waste of money. They can't ever keep up with the type of painting we do. They might work for a model or two, maybe an army, and then you'll wind up buying another one. You're better off making the investment, spend $100, get a decent compressor that will last you for a long time. Any of those USB powered nonsense things, number one, they can't generate enough PSI continuously. They will pulse. They will have a breathing effect because they'll create air and then none and then air and then none. They're not a consistent motor. They're pistonless. It's just bad. It's bad technology that was made for, I dread to say hobbyists, not hobbyists like us, but hobbyists that are like, hey, I need an airbrush once, to paint my nails or whatever. Because that was, I think, originally intended for people that do like nail art, and you can do it remotely. We've had a lot of people that have said, hey, I think it's a great idea for being able to throw it in my go bag, take it to my store. I can use it without taking my compressor and all that. And if you can use it for that specific task, and have it last, then good. I don't feel that there's a problem with them. The problem is the technology is horrible. It's just not good. It's a bad it's a bad plan. There's just no way to implement it to where it'll be a good long-term use compressor. That was regular burgundy that I was using there, not the dark. The dark was the base layer. Then I did regular burgundy over the dark burgundy, and then now I'm mixing burgundy and bold pyro red to get that splash of a little bit more red in there. Omicron says, for airbrushing in Arizona, you'd recommend not thinning Pro Acryl? Oh, you can definitely thin it, and we do a lot. You don't have to, but when I say you don't have to thin Pro Acryl for airbrushing, realize if I were going to airbrush like this shawl thing or whatever this is called, right? I would not thin it. I'd want vibrant colors, and I'd just blow it through the airbrush because I'm only doing a limited amount of space. The paint isn't going to cause me a lot of tip dry or hassle in the airbrush, and I could get it painted very quickly if I'm doing base coats. If I want to, layer, or if I'm doing an army, then yeah, I use flow improver, water, than standard thinning stuff. In dry climates, you're going to find yourself using more flow improvers or drying retarders. In moist climates, in more humid climates, you're going to wind up using more like airbrush thinner, or something that might even have an alcohol base to it, because you're going to want to keep your dry time up. If you live in a humid area and you use a lot of flow improver, you might find your paint never dry. And it might reactivate when you paint over the top of it, things like that. So just be careful. The same thinner is not always for the same thing for different people in different places. Water is always a good go-to. Once you get used to using water as a thinner for acrylic paint, then water is always a good starting point. Did you ever see Marley and Me? No, I don't think so. Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston got a dog? You were down for like an hour afterwards being sad, T. Schmidt? Yeah. I don't intentionally seek out crying movies, but I do cry at movies. Not afraid to admit it. Panic Bomb says they run out of power during use too, and then you have to clean out whatever's still in there. Well, and as they're running out of power, they're losing pressure. It's just a bad thing, right? Bad physics. Really liking that burgundy color. Thinking about something like that on your sisters instead of full-on red. Yeah, definitely. What about for your primers, Omicron Samurai? Never thin our primers. They are meant to not be thinned. Specifically meant to not be thinned. No matter where you are in the world, you do not have to thin our primers.
They spray great.
They are meant to run through the airbrush like a dream, just as is, and not have to fuss with too much.
Right. I don't think I've ever painted a Darth Vader model before.
Never?
Yeah.
Not for
I never did Legion.
For Legion or anything?
No.
Oh, well, all right.
Yeah.
I painted the female Darth Vader model that came with a female Boba Fett. I forget who the one was that did it, but there was a sculptor out there that made some female like pinups.
Yeah, I saw those in the case last night before I left. I was kind of perusing a little bit before I...
So we painted some of that in our one of our Discord challenges. It was using only blues.
Oh, that's cool.
But I never got it done. Stormtrooper we did as a lesson in painting white. That was a lot of fun. I really like that Stormtrooper pinup model. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, those models are both really cool. The Vader one's really interesting.
There's a Boba Fett one that Jen started too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A Mandalorian that I converted over to be holding her helmet in her hand and stuff like that.
I do have to say, I really like the design. I mean, I really like the design, like the art design of Mandalorians. I think they look really cool.
I think Star Wars in general has like really, really good
Great
like tech and sci-fi aspects to it and all. I think that the storytelling just lacks a lot in so many cases.
100%.
You know, people were like, I wonder why Star Trek never had a bunch of toys that sold well. And it's like, well, because they all look like they're in a business suit and ready to go to work at the office 9 to 5, as opposed to blowing stuff up and flying spaceships.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that? It's like nobody really wants, communist space toys. Turns out. I mean, but I like Star Trek stories better, so,
Yeah.
Star Vixens, that's what it was, T. Schmidt. Could give Darts Vader a purple cape. Ah, you could. You'd use purples on the black for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife jokes around with you because you're such a soft touch at movies. You'll tear up at anything. Blocks key.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, man. I feel like, that it is such a great release, even if I don't have like a super identifying quality with the movie I'm watching, but it just evokes emotion. I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
There's so much that we do, regardless of gender and race and all that. There's so much that we do in our lives that puts pressure on us that we don't necessarily have a thoughtful release for. And it's not even things that build up that you know about. It's those unknown pressures, right? It could be the fact that it's just coming up on the time to pay the bills, and it's not even that you don't have money in the bank. It's just that it's the stress of the time of the month where you got to pay the bills and making sure you're on time, and you forgot to call your mom, and these things that are just kind of, I call them the unpaid bills. Not, but you get the drift, right? It's those things that are in the back of our mind, kind of in our subconscious. They're not life-changing problems that you have to solve. They're not things you've swept under the rug necessarily. They're just all the things that are on your to-do list, but they've been prioritized really low. And I think that when you watch something that kind of evokes that emotion, it's kind of a good way to kind of let the stress out for those things that are keeping up, I think it's good. I'm not crying because, I didn't lose my dad like Ted Lasso did. I don't have a bond with the Ted Lasso thing, but they just captured that moment really well. I thought it was fantastic. You made the mistake of buying one of those USB ones, and you spent way more time cleaning than painting. Yeah, they're just not good technology. It's a sham, right? It is like snake oil sales. It really is. There's no other way to say it. And I believe that the people that develop those things think they're doing a good deal, but they're not. They're not using that tool, right? I feel like what you always want to do, no matter what tool you're buying, you want to make sure that it's being produced by a company that understands what you do with it, and that they would know that their tool would do that task repetitively, and that's why they're selling it to you, right? And that's why we stand behind all of our stuff, because we use everything we sell.
Yeah.
You see us use it live here on stream all the time. We have to be able to make sure it works because we use it. And I can't afford to fight our products live on Twitch with you guys. So, I don't know that Craftsman or Snap-on. Well, the Snap-on was a good example because the Snap-on guy could come out and show you how to use the damn tool at the shop. Snap-on's a tool manufacturer. Uh-huh. So when you work at a shop like an auto body shop, or I worked at a metal shop, and the Snap-on guy would come by, and you'd go on the truck, and you could look at all the tools. It was like a mobile store. Uh-huh. And so you'd walk in and look at all the tools, and I'd be like, what exactly is this for? And he'd be like, that's let's say that's a panel straightener. And it was like a clamp panel straightener for metal, for sheet metal. And I'd be like, how does this work? And he'd go, let's go see. And he'd grab one, and we'd go in, and we'd take a piece of sheet metal, and we'd take one that had a little bit of a ripple along the edge, and he put it on there and clamped it down in the vise, and then hit it with this panel straightener thing. And I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
But he would pick any tool in that truck and come out there and show you how to use it.
That's cool. That's really
if you had a Snap-on driver that was like, I have no idea, then you wouldn't buy from that guy.
Yeah, you're not a very effective salesman if you don't know the product well enough to be able to tell somebody how to use it.
Snap-on is very expensive, yes. I mean, they will legitimately, if you break a tool, you can hand it to them and they'll give you a new one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing with Snap-on is they will create credit accounts for dies at shops, and the only thing you really have to have as your credit is the owner of the shop say, yeah, we're keeping him. So a lot of guys would get into super debt buying tools and not be able to pay their Snap-on debt, and they will just come take your toolbox and put it on a truck and gone. And now you can't do your job. So there's a little bit of a predatory business model there for Snap-on and Cornwall and the tool manufacturers that come by the shops and do that. I mean, there's also people that don't pay their bills, so that's bad too. You lost it watching How to Train Your Dragon 2. I've seen How to Train Your Dragon. I think it was like Viking and like little cute dragon thing.
Yeah. I have not seen it, but I am familiar with it enough to know that it's like cute Viking dragon.
Impulsor, you miss a day of going to Sears and getting Craftsman tools. Yeah, I don't think there are Sears locations anymore, are there?
I don't think so.
Very few, if any. Yeah. I know there's still like a Sears outlet place here, or at least there was. But yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of Sears to go around anymore.
It's just tough. The Amazon and the acceleration of all this internet purchasing stuff, like,
well,
really killed a lot of those.
Yeah,
stores.
and I have to be completely honest that I am on the side of where, yeah, I get Amazon ruins some businesses, but there is also those businesses need to be able to adapt,
and they didn't.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Yep. you adapt or die in life, and that goes for everything you do, right? Yeah. You have to either adapt to this heat or what, right?
Or I die.
Or you die. Well, you may not die, but it's not maybe that dramatic. But you get my drift.
Yes, but I have already started adapting, which is good.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? But as humans, we have to adapt. We have to, right? It's just a necessity. And what are companies other than just entities run by humans? And when you get lazy and you stop adapting, then companies like Amazon can come in and disrupt the whole business. And now what are you going to do? Now you're going to bitch about it because you're like, well, they shouldn't be able to sell online. That competes with us. Well, maybe you could have Sears.com be something relevant.
Yeah. Or how about this? You have brick and mortar stores that are very large.
Does anybody else remember the fact that Amazon was a bookseller? They were there competing with Barnes and Noble was their whole gig.
Yep.
They weren't there to be a king of the world selling everything from China. I don't think. What?
Barnes and Noble still exists. So
I don't know how that's true. I have to be honest. I don't know how that's true.
It is true though.
But it is true.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I'm not real sure how the Barnes and Noble thing is a thing.
I think the one thing that Barnes & Noble offers that Amazon was never able to capture, right, is all the Barnes & Nobles had Starbucks in them. So you could sit and you could read a book. You could
it could be a destination for something where you could sit and look at the magazine rack and check things out. And I think with physical books, you want to be able to read the spine or the inside spine fold page, and all that kind of crap. So I get that. I just don't know that reading is like that anymore. Is it? Maybe.
Going back to kind of what I was talking about, maybe 3 or 4 streams ago, where I was talking about, my favorite experience reading books is, when I want to relax, I love having, a hardback or a softback paper book and having, a cup of hot chocolate and enjoying it. Sitting down and enjoying a book.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Yeah, I love it.
I have no need for it because a digital thing on your iPad is much easier to handle. The pages don't crease. It doesn't fold back over and lose your page. Digital books just are the only way to go. We've done it with music, so you don't have to have a record collection that's a mile long. Why would anybody want the physical book anymore?
It's something nostalgic, and
I get it.
I like a little bit of that kind of like old school feel. So, that's the reason why I still like that kind of stuff. But that being said, I don't do it very often.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that most people that say that don't ever really do it.
Correct.
Otherwise, we'd still have, what was the other one? The other big bookseller that closed down. The competitor to Barnes and Noble.
Well, the other part of this, too, Borders.
Borders Books. Barnes & Noble went online and started doing stuff. Hell, I get my BattleTech, right? They have that exclusive BattleTech thing that I just got for the Great Death Legion Heavy Lance. The only place you can get it, Barnes & Noble. So Barnes & Noble is doing things. I don't know if it's like Death Throw Last Kicks, I
think they're doing okay.
I don't know. I don't know anything about their business.
Yeah. There have not been any signs that I've seen that would indicate to me that they're...
Amazon's not doing great, so I wouldn't think Barnes & Noble could be doing great if they're in that same kind of space.
Amazon's struggling right now?
Oh, yeah. Amazon's had big shrinkage layoffs and things like that. They're not dying, but they're not...
They're not having a great time. Here. I'd love to get your 2 cents on this. I don't think I want to bring up this reflection anymore. Maybe a touch on like the helmet.
I know it's good.
Yeah.
I think it was good.
I don't think it needs.
Nah. Now the whole thing with him is and realize the shinier it gets, right, the more pinpoint all the reflection is.
Right.
So right now you've got it to where that one on the forehead is almost like it's almost like dulling the metal because it radiates out so much.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't push it any further.
I was planning on bringing it back a little bit with some black transparent.
Yeah, I think just glazing it back a bit would look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're fine. It looks really good.
I did just remember that his like chest plate thing is reflective as well.
Yeah, some of the really cool pictures of Darth Vader in the movies is like him walking down the corridors of the Death Star, or on his Emperor starship,
Yup.
And you'll notice the lights reflected in his helmet are really small, bright circles because they're almost reflecting the exact dimension of the light.
It's it's a great example of this. Is the first scene in A New Hope is when he's walking down the white lit corridor and he's all in black.
Yeah. And
all of the panel lights on the ceilings are reflecting off of his helmet, and they're just really bright white spots. There's nothing else. So it's very like white and black.
Yeah, it's one of the big problems that people have when painting black, and especially shiny black, is that you start to blend out too far, and you lose that reflective quality.
Yeah.
Because the more reflective a thing is, the tighter the highlights are going to be. And if that doesn't make sense, it means the smaller your brightest spots will be. Mm-hmm. They'll sit into smaller and smaller areas on the model, the more reflective it is. And a lot of people have that backwards. They think that the more reflective it is, the more the brightness will spread. Yes. But that happens as the surface gets worn, right? Because it has more reflective, more, I don't want to say damage, but the surface is not polished anymore. And so the reflection creeps out further from the point of impact. Yeah. If you go shine a light into the mirror at your house, the light will look exactly the same size as the light you're shining into it. It won't blare out your mirror, right? And the reason for that is because it's shining back as close to 100% of what it's seeing. And it's seeing the source of light as this 2-inch diameter flashlight. So you're going to get a 2-inch diameter reflection.
If I recall, though, the bigger your source of light, the bigger that reflective dot is going to be. Right? So if you have a big,
that's
like
proximity
the sun,
and distance there, right? So if you have a big light source, it will be able to be reflected on a surface further away. It will not necessarily be bigger in the reflection. That's just how close is your subject to the light source. Right? Because light amplitude or intensity is going to give it more ability to be reflected, but not necessarily give you more glare on a surface, which is, I guess, what we would call that.
Yeah.
That color I'm starting to like. Not quite pushing it all the way to bold pyrrole red, but
that burgundy highlight or the highlights for the burgundy that you're working on right now?
Yeah.
What colors are you mixing in
It's
there?
just pyrrole red and burgundy.
Nice.
And I'm just adjusting the pyrrole red to give me a little bit more impact as I go along to spots where I feel like I need it. And then adding more burgundy to blend it into midtones. And
burgundy is a color I need to use.
Burgundy?
Yeah.
It's a great color to straddle in between blue and red, because it gives you that motion that doesn't quite push you to purple, but doesn't feel like, red. Like painting blood angels. I don't feel like I'm painting my blood angels right now. Which is what I want to stay away from. I
don't want to do red right now.
You enjoy audiobooks when you're on your own, but physical books when you're at home. I can't stand physical books because the pages fold over. Part of it's having a dog, and I try to read comic books, and I bought a bunch of graphic novels recently. And when I'm trying to read them on the couch, I can't. I have to try to read them with one hand, because the dog's always right there with me, and I don't want to push the dog off the couch. She has a reason to be there with me, and I want her to be able to hang out, but it makes it really hard. So then I can't do what I want to do. So a digital book, if it were on my iPad or something, then that makes it more sustainable for me personally. So also, I've moved so many times in my life, across country, in millions of miles, and when you do that and you have books and records, you curse more than you have fun, right? It lessens the experience. And so I've just learned that I don't ever want to have that many books. And I still have boxes of books, don't get me wrong. You saw just a small smattering of all my long boxes of comics. Every one of those long boxes is a freaking ton.
I'm gonna go old school with the lenses on Darth Vader and make them that red, that like deep, dark, like black red that they are in the original trilogy.
Did they change that at some point?
Yeah, they moved them to be black, or they've
like
moved
sunglass
them away.
lenses, right? They just became like shaded lenses.
But they used to be like red.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. In
they were like ruby.
Yeah.
Lenses almost, right?
Very deep black.
I feel like I remember that.
Red, yeah. You're a huge fan of moving. Well, you are alone in that I do not want to move anytime soon.
Tim's from Pennsylvania, so half of me thinks he's lying. Nobody in Pennsylvania likes to move anywhere.
Tim doesn't have a liar tag. How could he be lying? Tim,
That's just because he's trying to fool us all. Pennsylvania is the one place I have lived and integrated with the people that I was more surprised than anywhere else at how reluctant people were to go anywhere else.
Really?
Yeah.
Like to leave
Pennsylvania? Leave. Yeah. It's a very homey state, you know, in that the people that live there are like, why would I ever leave? The whole Northeast has that vibe for people that have been like generationally there.
Yeah.
You know, it's more old world like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, out of all of my friends in Pennsylvania, I would not have ever picked a single one of them to like, you know, say, oh yeah, we're moving to California, you know, or wherever.
Yeah. I feel that way a lot about people in Seattle.
I've always been a vagabond, so my rambling man status, I'm always surprised when I see tremendous amounts of people, like individuals that I meet that are like, oh yeah, I never really thought about moving. It's just not my thing. That's an easy conversation. Yeah. When I would get into a community of people who are like, why would you leave? You know, yeah. You're like, why would you move?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I never thought I would leave Washington.
Really?
Yeah. It did not occur to me. That's why I had to think about it when we first talked about it.
I'm you know, I've dealt with enough people that I'm like, I never expect anybody to be like me.
Yeah.
And probably fewer people than not are just ready to pick up and go wherever.
Yep. Well, I think it was a fortuitous time in my life. Good time for a change. You know?
Yeah.
I'm young enough that I don't have any roots really pulled down there. So, you know, I wasn't in a relationship.
Well, your family was moving, right?
My family was moving. Like, my mom is moving to Utah, and my dad already lives in Indianapolis. So it's like, it's basically close friends, and like Hayden, who is effectively family.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, you know, that's kind of the cool thing, right? Is that, you know, and my friends were the ones who helped me make the decision. They're like, look, you're like 29, go. Like,
I remember when you said that, you were like sitting around talking to them, and they were like, dude, what are you talking about? Go and have fun and try it out. But that's not for everybody. I get it.
It's true. Yeah. But I'm glad I did. Honestly, I freaking love it here. The area is cool, and the thing that I am the happiest about is that everybody who I work with, everybody who I hang out with on a regular basis is absolutely amazing.
We have good people here, and you know, we all are kind of, whether you like the same games or whatever, we all have the propensity to sit down and talk nerd stuff, and you know, I think it feels homey from that perspective. You know,
it really does.
Ruben packed up and moved here. Our first employee, you know, he packed up and moved here from Arkansas. He's a nutcase.
He is a bit of a nutcase. We love him though. Listening, Ruben. Hipster Gumby.
That guy.
What the heck are you doing on stream?
That guy's
Aren't
like
you supposed to be working.
That guy's from Arizona or something silly like that.
No, weirdo.
Can't trust him. Everybody's like, he's from Arizona. I'm like, well, let me show you.
I'm trying to get this painted so I can use it tonight when I'm playing against Ruben.
Oh yeah, you guys are doing Shatterpoint tonight, right?
Yes, we are. Yeah, this box set came out and I was like, I have to get this model. Wait, hold on. You were actually born in Washington? Like, Washington State? Okay. A, how have I never known this? And B, why the heck were you born in Washington? What the heck? Spokane Valley?
There's these things called contractions.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, oh, look, the baby's coming. Where do you want to be?
Well, okay, hold on. Let me explain where my thought process is going. To my knowledge, he doesn't have any friends and family in Washington. He's never spoken about going to Washington in his life. He's never mentioned anything. And he knows that I lived in Washington.
Gabe, I want you to understand that not to be too mad at him. He
all your family is in Washington?
He's not a good listener. We know this.
Blowing my mind right now. Actually, you know what? I think you've actually mentioned this to me before, and I'm an idiot. Now that you mentioned this specifically, I kind of remember us having a conversation about this. Whoops. Spokane is a very, very big place to live in Washington. A lot of people from there. If you don't live in, like, the Seattle metro area or in Tacoma, you live in Spokane. It's like everything that I've started to figure out. I don't think I've actually ever been to Spokane, which is funny. Just clip so the next time you mention it, you can compare the reaction.
Clip it.
Thanks, Tony.
Clip it so you can show him.
Yeah. Remember, Jordan, you had the same reaction last time. You probably shouldn't be so surprised about this.
Cheers, chat. I love you.
You know what? I'll cheers to that too, chat. Because I'm a goober and I forget that.
They're twins. See, Punisher was thinking the exact same thing. So you see, when a man in Washington loves a woman in Washington.
Yeah.
Hey, Baby Jane, where do babies come from?
Toilets.
Toilets. I was down for storks, but now you've got my attention, sir. I thought we were going to hear storks, but now you have my attention, sir.
Oh, man. Too good.
Oh, boy. As about what's going on. Oof. We need things the Jetsons had where his car would fold up into a briefcase. I'm down. Having a partner who's an English theater major, the amount of books you have moved is insane, trust me. Being a comic book collector and a sci-fi collector, the amount of books I moved is probably very similar. I moved way too much, too. So I have shed a lot every time. Right? Not comics. I kept all the comics every time. There was a little different motivation on the comic side. The books, though, were like paperbacks and things that I had done. I got to the point where I would be reading a book and I would do the whatever it is, the Mile High Library, where you would...
Oh, yeah,
You'd read and just leave the book on the plane and write your name in the cover. I just started leaving books around. Warhammer 40k books. It didn't matter. Whatever I was reading, I'd leave it in the plane. I'm like, I'm done. I'll never need this again. But then with digital books, I bought into Kindle very, very early when Amazon was not what they are today. Yep. You know, and I bought into Kindle. I haven't used a Kindle in forever because then it was iPad and you had your books on iPad and iBooks and all that kind of stuff. So, you know. Now audiobooks is it, you know, but...
I'm kind of surprised that they still have Kindles. Well, I mean, the nice thing about the Kindles is they have that nice... that
screen is really cool.
Screen, yeah.
Yeah, I still have one. It probably wouldn't power up if you yelled at it harshly, but... You're all about the physical stuff, Thespian. You prefer to have it and hold it, have something for your money that can't be taken away if a business goes under or something happens with rights, so they revise for modern audiences. Well, that's a cloud issue, right? Like, I download all of my books, so I have them all. They can't do anything with my books. I just wouldn't be able to re-download them if my drive went bad. But I keep a backup of all of that stuff, so. And you are correct. You know, digital is only as good as you have battery power for it, whereas books can be read as long as there's sunlight.
Yep.
So, you know. Your family's been in Reading, PA since before the Civil War. Yeah, see, that was like in Pennsylvania, you know, it's old world America. There have been families that are so generationally rooted to the states they're in that they're like, why would we go anywhere? Everything we have is here.
Yeah,
A bunch of my friends lived within a mile of where they were born, like the house they grew up in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah. They would buy a house as close to their parents' house as they could because they couldn't stand to like not have Sunday brunch or dinner with their family and stuff, which I think is great. I just never had that.
Yeah.
That just was not something that my family in Texas was so spread out that.
Yeah, my family never really did that sort of thing.
No glare screen on the Kindle is great. Yep, exactly.
Although I will say, if that Indianapolis was definitely a potential opportunity if this didn't end up happening. My dad was trying to get me to move back out there. He was like, "Hey, you should come back, live out here with me."
And do what? It's Indianapolis.
I know, right? That was kind of my response to him.
Work in the mill? I don't even know if they have a mill. Giving Indianapolis crap.
There are some really cool areas out there.
Oh, there's cool areas everywhere. Yeah, I don't think there's a single place in the States where I'd be like, there's no redeeming qualities, never go there.
Yeah.
Every place that I've traveled, and I've traveled around this country multiple times, every place I've been has got redeeming qualities. It doesn't mean that there is something there for me that makes me want to stay in every place, you know? Like Louisiana, I love Baton Rouge, I love New Orleans for going there for like a weekend, but I would never want to live in Louisiana.
See you, Impulsor. Have a good night. We'll see you later.
Take it easy. Thanks for hanging with us. You want a Kindle Scribe? What is that? Is it one you can take notes on? Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Does it use that paper technology? That guy created digital paper.
What?
Yeah, a guy invented digital paper. It's much like the Kindle screen, but it has the touch, and it also has like a response. Like when you take the stylus across it, it feels like a pencil on paper. I don't know if the Kindle version is utilizing that or something similar, but. Yeah, I love when we can kind of get the analog and digital worlds to come together in a way that, you know, makes you appreciate both, you know, as opposed to just leaving one behind. With my background in music, that part of my background in music, switching to digital was a rough thing, man. I loved analog, but I love the
benefits of digital.
Well, yeah, the conveniences of the digital recording world was just so enormous. It allowed me as an individual music producer to be able to do things that I had to pay more money than I had to other people for. Mastering, right? I could pay $200 or $300 for a piece of mastering software, which back in the day seemed like a lot, but you could pay a couple $100 for a piece of mastering software that you would use on every project you ever did.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, going and paying that $200 or $300 every time I had to get a project mastered.
Sounds awful.
Because you had to sit down at somebody's studio and do it, and the mastering equipment was different, and
yeah, you had to like almost relearn some of it every time because the setup was different.
Well, yeah, most of the time you were paying a guy that was just a pro to do it, you know. But when you could get the software, you could get a very similar sound. You could kind of just program it. Once you nailed your sound, you could save it so that you could apply it to your next project. Just so much benefit to digital, you know. But then the companies that were coming out utilizing both, like they were recreating like analog tube sounds on a digital plugin for Pro Tools. That stuff really blew my mind. I was like, holy hell, this sounds like I'm recording it on a $250,000 recording console with gear I could never afford. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Then some idiot made auto-tune and music died. Tape just sounds so good, though. I mean, you get the sound of tape through digital very easily, though. You know, records tend to sound really good because of the physical nuance of the needle on the record. I don't think the magnetic head on the tape brings anything that you really care about other than loss of signal to noise ratio. It's horrible. Lion Creative, you're going to love Dark Emerald as much as you love the Jade line? Yes, more, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be your new addiction. There's a great color.
Don't do it. Don't do the thing. I know you're going to try and do the thing.
Go see what's happening.
What up, Go Sue? The man, the myth, the legend.
And I got to figure out a highlight color for this red. Like the final highlight, you know, like we did the faded plum on the whatever this thing is. I keep calling it a shawl because I don't know what it is. Cape? I don't know what it is. And then we went over it with red transparent to get the magenta pulled back out, but it gives us that same kind of spot brightness. I don't have a color inherently that I would use and leave, so I need to think about like what are we going to highlight with, and then what are we going to use as a filter over the top of the burgundy that we've created. And honestly enough, just don't know. I think pink is too much. I think it'll be too shiny.
I'm trying out our synthetics for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, trying out the
I think plum. Be a shot in the dark here.
All right, I think I'm seeing what you're talking about with the synthetics here. This is pretty neat. Might have a new synthetic person on your hands, Jason.
I'm telling you, man, they're fantastic. Convert. There's no reason not to use both.
Yeah,
I don't ever find myself really needing to use both unless I just need a super ultra sharp point. I know that I can get an ultra sharp point out of my older sables and not have to crack open a new synthetic if I'm using one of the old ones. Because guys on chat will know that I will use a synthetic until it's just so blown out it's not even worth talking about anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a little bit of Pyro Red in with the plum, and I think that's gonna be our color. Is this? Oh yeah. Oh, I like it when a plan comes together. Plum, the unsung hero of the day.
Regular plum or dark plum?
Just regular plum. Give me this kind of a neat, more bluish red. Pyro red and plum. Real simple. treat this right, I probably don't even need a filter over it, which I would like to not do. I really am happy with the burgundy. If I can stay away from having to add any more color, that would be great. And like most things I do, the first swipe here is very, very thin, just to make sure my color kind of roots in with the base coat. If you take a new color that is brighter, or maybe it's a hue you're just playing around with, you just want to see how it works for a highlight, like in our case, a lot of times you don't want to just smack it on the model, because if you're wrong, it feels bad. But not only because of that innate kind of I don't want to call it fear, but it is sort of, right? But also just because your blending looks so much better when the first pass is very thin. And then you start going with opacity on pass number 2. Doing here. As long as you keep your second pass inside the boundaries of where you did the first one. Nice highlight. Now I'm using satiny colors right here, so the shine is kind of showing us, making this a little funky. Shows you there. You guys going to put out a paint handle? That's a great question. I was developing one and I never got it to where it was affordable for the end user. I stand behind my design, unfortunately, not from a commercial viability standpoint. So it was actually something that I thought about releasing the design files for, so that people would be able to print it on their own. Then we got a really good FDM printer here. and so there's not a reason why we couldn't do it cheaper as an FDM printed version. It just would not be kind of what I envisioned it as far as its full flexibility. If that makes any sense. You've seen me model was on it last. I don't remember.
Not the one I'm
Here,
using, is
right
it?
here, right here.
Oh, that guy.
So this is one of the prototypes that we used, and it's just this is a basically a CNC'd version. It's very expensive 3D printing. This version had the magnet wells were not deep enough, so the platform stood up off the top. Obviously, I didn't glue the magnets in very well because they come right out of the base, right? But neat design. Gives you the ability to line it up really nicely. Has in the top portion here, right, the ability to unscrew so that you could put different bases on here as you need. And this one, right, this is just the prototype, so this would be a 1/4 inch 20 threaded like camera thread, so that you could put any camera accessory type things on here for other stuff. So you could buy one that was weighted enough. It was supposed to be milled out of aluminum, so that it was weighty enough that you could put it on here. And if you wanted to put like a little camera mount on here for your painting, you could buy one to set it around to be a camera stand for if you're streaming or want to take pictures or whatever. And then also for holding your miniatures. So you could buy a couple of them if you needed to, and use them for all sorts of things around your desk as just kind of a general hobby helper. So it's a neat idea. It also has boring in here because we had extra set of hands clamps that come out of it, and finger rests and things like that. So it's a really unique tool. It is very expensive to make. So my engineering side works well. My cost effective side took a vacation that week.
does what it can. Does what it can sometimes.
Take it easy, Thespian. Good to see you.
You out here, Thespian? Have a good night. Rest up over the weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Lion Creative, you saw what email?
On email?
Oh, he won the paints. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, look at that lightsaber.
Lightsaber.
I really like the orange on the black. I know his isn't orange, but that's really good looking.
Yeah, I like to do my lightsabers in like a reddish orange. I think they tend to look better that way. Have a little bit better contrast than just that like red. And red is kind of hard to make look very luminous. And having that really hot red. Oh.
Yeah, you got to go into oranges to really pop it.
Kind of did the same thing on Dooku's lightsaber. Kind of looking very similar. I could put a little bit more red in there, but it really needs it. Now I just got to do the rest of this guy's outfit. I think the cloak I might even just kind of keep this way. Maybe add a little bit of texture in it. Doesn't need much.
Looks good.
Yeah.
The blue black is nice. Nice.
Noise.
Omicron. Yeah. It's always a problem, right? You got all the best ideas, but manufacturing is where it hunts you down. Like, we could spend a lot on molds for plastics and do it in plastic to where the per piece cost was a lot cheaper. Like to you guys, the end cost would be more manageable, but we would have to produce so many of them. And it's not, unfortunately, it's just not a product I have a ton of confidence in. I know a lot of people use holders. I should probably have more confidence in it. I use corks, and so it's really hard, right? Like, the other side of me is like, we should just invest in a cork company. Call it a day. There's so many things where I can't get out of my own way as a product designer because I'm just like, I don't use things that way. But I realize how much other people do. That's what I mean by the old dog, no new tricks kind of mentality that I have sometimes. Then every now and then I fart out a Go Bag Ebo and have no idea how I got out of my own way on that one.
I mean, it's a fantastic product.
Well, yeah, but it was something where I was like, you know, very afraid that everybody would look at me and think I was crazy, you know.
We can still do that and buy it.
Yeah, I was like, I think people still think I'm crazy, so I didn't think I had anything to lose at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think Jen told me that. She goes, you are crazy. People will never think otherwise. Make the bag.
Make the bag.
Jen is literally the hero we don't deserve, because Jen sits back, listens to all my nonsense, and is like, if you believe in it, do it. So many products exist simply because she allowed it to happen by having faith in me being smarter than I really am. So there's your real hero, chat. You like Monument Hobbies? Say, thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen. I like my job. Thanks, Jen.
Also a good thing to thank her for. You'll be using the Redgrass Games one and you like it, just wish it was a bit bigger for your giant hands. Yeah, this one's a little bit bigger, so. You wanted to ask about Mindwork stuff and timing, Tim? I apologize. That one's my fault. I meant to have everything done for yesterday. Maybe I can do it tonight during game night while everybody's playing. I don't know if I'm supposed to play or not. I think I am, but Phil was supposed to be here and he's not here, so I don't know what's happening.
You're probably fine then.
Huh?
You're probably fine. Yeah, he is not here. He was poisoned by the well. That was a joke because he drank from the water machine that blew up yesterday.
That didn't have anything to do with it.
No, I know. That's fine. I'm just making a joke. It's a joke. Meant to be hello, funny, funny.
I'm bummed about the water machine, though.
Me too.
How do I fill my water? With the car today, I go, what am I doing for water? I haven't been able to drink water. We don't have a plan. We get so used to the fact that I just walk over there and I fill my water bottle up.
Yep, you're telling me. And we didn't get any water bottles when we got our shipment and stuff.
Huh?
Well, because we don't have any water bottles in the refrigerator.
Oh, like bottled water. Yeah,
Bottled
yeah.
water.
I'm like,
Yeah,
we got tons
yes.
of bottles of water. We can't use them. You're talking about, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, let's just talk.
New water machine just delivered. What?
Oh, what? Oh my goodness! Excitement ensues.
I know what I'm doing right after stream, chat.
You and me both.
Filling up my water bottle.
It is really interesting painting a model that is just all black.
Yep, it's a challenge.
It is a challenge. Trying to find a little bit of color diversity between the types of blacks that you're putting on the model.
That's the thing, because texture's everything, right?
Yeah.
The metal has to look different than the one kind of cloth and the cape and all that, but they still all have to read as being black.
Yep.
So, doing a great job. The armor looks really good. You guys need me to bring you some water? No, we're fine, I think.
No, we're good. Or at least I'm good.
Tim says, yeah, that would be nice. Thanks, Jen.
That's a bit of a hike.
So don't hold your breath, Tim. Xenobon says, time for a drink from the fire hose. Not in Arizona, man.
No, you don't want to do that.
Insta sick. Hot water in the belly, not bueno. With you saying that she knows that you are smarter than you think you are, what happens when you muck up? She laughs. Jen laughs at me a lot. She's not afraid to just stare at me and shake her head. She's like, I don't know what's going on. People will look at Jen when I say silly crap, and she'll go, don't look at me. I got nothing to do with this.
I've been there for that before. Been there for that one.
I am fast approaching silly old man status, where you can just look at me and you can be like, I don't mind Grandpa. He's old. It's fine.
Making these pants and undersuit a little bit more warm gray. Putting some
Ain't his little pants gray?
Well, no, I'm adding a little bit of brown gray to the highlights to add a little bit of warmth.
40-year-old virgin reference.
So, it's been a while since I've seen that movie. Been long enough that I can't quote it.
It is a miniature painter's dream movie, and you can't quote it?
No.
I have a problem here, chat.
Have you met me?
I don't
really remember things very well. Well, some things I remember.
This is a problem.
Well. Some things I remember well. Hold on. Well, some things I remember well.
This is a problem.
Work things I remember great.
This also explains a lot.
No. It explains nothing.
T. Smith says, you're only 50-something. You're not that old yet. Isn't that almost dead?
Nope. Don't think so.
It's funny for me because there was a very large portion of my years where I said, if I'm still around at 50, just go ahead and take me out to pasture.
Do you feel that way now?
What? I mean, I'm 50, so I can't say that. Now I got to move it to like 60 or something like that. So, Jordan?
Yep.
If I ever make it to 60, just shoot me.
How about this? Let's have a conversation when you're 60. We'll go from there.
Just shoot me if I get to 60.
I don't
Ain't nobody trying to be 60.
I mean,
50 is the new 30. I feel like it is, because I don't have a chance to be 30 again, so there's that. not liking that. Trying to be very careful and not get it away from the dark and brooding coloring. I feel like that's what this model wants.
Be dark and brooding?
Yeah, kind of, right?
It's kind of got that vibe.
Now I need to figure out, like, I don't... Pink. She's a girl. She deserves some pink. Yeah, that'll piss people. Parents told me to take them out into the woods with a bottle of Jameson and just leave them there. Never cared for whiskey much, but I'd be down for trying it. See if you can make it home. Dude, what if that was the way it was? Like, once you hit, like, 60,
you're like,
once a year,
take me out to
once a year, your family takes you out to a place in the woods and leaves you. If you make it home, you get another year.
Oh, my God.
Dude, that would be so great.
You want to do this?
I would vote for this because it makes you keep your faculties. You have to do the mental calisthenics all year long, prepping for your, like, lifestyle. You have to be sort of in shape. You got to have all your wits about you. And if you don't, well, then the woods get you. Of course, then you'd go out there and there'd be like, you'd show up and inevitably there'd be like some people out there that couldn't find their way home, but they managed to stay alive in the woods. So that might breed some weirdness. I am so down for this, chat.
All right. Well, give me a ring when you turn 60 and we'll have a conversation.
Jen's probably sitting there shaking her head right now.
Like, don't you
Isn't this
dare.
the plot to Logan's Run? No, they just killed him. In Logan's Run, you just killed them when they reached the age of like 30 or 21 or something.
Yeah, this I
stupid
can't
like
get
that.
arrested for. I don't think.
Yeah, Logan's Run was just old folks die. And then they found old folks kind of out in the woods, so that part of it's kind of close, right? When they got escaped. When they escaped. Farrah Fawcett was like one of the I don't want to say nurses or whatever, but I think she was, right? Was Farrah Fawcett like one of the main characters? I don't remember. It's a great movie. Better book. Great flick. Definitely do a remake with our culture even more youth obsessed than it was in the 70s. You got like the glowy gem in your hand, right? And as you reach a certain age, the glowy gem went out. And that was your thing. That was your time. And
weird.
And there was a big like celebration and everybody would get zapped and dead. But then some people started questioning, like, what if we can grow older?
Is it like a population control thing?
Yeah. Very dystopian.
Yep.
That and like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, Logan's Run. Else would be in that same vein. Not really Slaughterhouse 5, although. Over the last year or so, your eyesight is deteriorating. What tools do you use to help you see small details while painting? Yeah, I just use these readers from the drugstore. 100%. And I think these are 1.5s. So not super magnification or anything like that. Get like a 3-pack for like $12 or something like that.
Just enough to get the job.
Yeah, it really is just enough to get me on track.
Four. About in chat.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely in that kind of vein. I held 1984 on its own. It's such a unique. I say unique. I don't guess it's super unique. But for me, 1984 stands out as kind of the quintessential dystopian book. Probably because it's so much easier to identify with, unfortunately.
What was the primary plot of that book again? It's been so long since I've read it.
There is a never-ending war. They have concocted, you assume, between the powers of the world, grants them the ability to basically take all of your rights, because it's all for the betterment of the whole.
Yep.
Right? They have changed words and their meanings, and there is a whole department of newspeak where they take articles and change the way the wording in the articles is and disseminate the stories out so that everything is edited and censored and tells the party line. Big Brother, there are monitors and cameras everywhere, so
Yep.
you're monitored in your entire life so that you can't really do anything. And everybody is just the working class, basically, right? You know, you just are gray suit,
Yep.
no stuff, gruel for food.
Yep.
Everybody eats in a cafeteria together. Very anti-utopia, but they tell you it's the utopia you were looking for.
This is the utopia that we all get. Reminds me a lot of like Hunger to an extent. Minus the like
Hunger Games wishes it could be 1984, but
Sure.
yeah. A lot of those principles are there. The main characters in it, the main character in it is kind of he knows there's something else going on.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets led around, and spoiler alert, it was all a entrapment the whole time because they had been spying on him, knew his brain was wired for that type of
Yeah.
acting out, and so they set him up. The movie with McDowell, Malcolm, I forget who was in it, right? Is actually a very good watch.
For 1984?
Yeah.
When was it made?
Oh boy.
Time ago?
70s?
Oh wow.
I don't know. Maybe 1984? Who knows? May have come out in 84 just as a... Equilibrium? Describe it. I feel like I've seen this movie.
We got a good question relayed by the Go Suit. Question. Talking Mark. Some positives gets asked 100 times, but is there a way to get the effect of a contrast? I'm assuming that's contrast, or speed paint with Pro Acryl and say the glaze and wash medium? Yes.
Yeah.
Any of the paints plus glaze and wash medium.
Yeah. 100%.
That's kind of one of the whole reasons why it was designed. Obviously, it's more diverse than that. You can, depending how much glaze and wash medium you put into it, you'll either get glaze consistency or you'll get more of a contrast or a speed paint type effect. You can also use the transparency plus glaze and wash medium to a very similar effect as well. Albeit it's going to be a lot more intense in saturation. because those colors are, whew, very pigmented in a good way. But yes, abso-freaking-lutely. I would just experiment with the glaze and wash medium in varying amounts with the colors that you want to try out, and you'll start to kind of find the mixes that work really well for you.
To get that initial consistency of like a contrast, I tell people that you can start with somewhere around 6 to 8 drops of glaze wash medium for every drop of color. Seems a lot, but that's what you need. And then depending on how fluid you want it, you can add water to that. You may reduce the amount of glaze wash you use if you find yourself wanting a lot of water in it to make it more of a wash consistency. Then you add more water, reduce the glaze wash by a little bit, perhaps. That'll get you started. And then, of course, over a zenithal highlight like you would normally expect for contrast and such will do you really well. This is a straight pink that I'm using now. Phoenix, in a futuristic world, a regime has eliminated war by suppressing emotions. Oh, are you reading the cover from 1984? Or is this something else? Everyone is on drugs that make you not feel after disaster happens, but the main character... Oh, this is that movie you were talking about. But the main character has flashes of feelings. Big Man knows this and sets him up to infiltrate the rebels. So very 1984. Yeah. Feeling is a crime punishable by death. Oh my god.
Oh, what's up,
Did that have Sean Bean in it? I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. It's crazy. Matrixy. Right? Like Matrix before the Matrix kind of stuff. Maybe it was afterwards, but yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen that. It's a hard watch. Not a great movie. I mean, it's great. Maybe not great. It's good. It's hard to watch.
Three?
Tim's like, I'm back. And everybody's like, you were gone? Tim says, I saw 1980. We were just talking about dystopian flicks. I think what did we start talking about? The Logan's Run came up. And we were lumping it in with other dystopian style. Grand utopia Big Brother style flicks. Which obviously 1984 takes the cake. See that I'm mainly stippling my highlights here. A couple little dashes, but more dots. More dots.
More dots.
Give a little sparkle texture to things here. Animal Farm was great, yep. Yep. The Isle of Dr. Moreau. Lord of the Flies. Humanity is great. Somebody mentioned Clockwork Orange. Droogs, where my Droogs at? Go down to the milk shop. Escape from New York. I mean, not the same league, but okay. Not a bad flick. Interesting world that they set up in that, right? Where they've just kind of given up on reforming criminals and have just basically created the crime planet, or inmate planet kind of a mentality.
It's like, we're just gonna dump you on this planet. You guys do whatever you want.
Well, it was New York City, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
They just made New York City the spot that was bad. It's like nobody goes there. You just read Lord of the Flies a couple weeks back? That's one that's a tearjerker. Remember as a kid in school we had to read it, right? And then we had to watch the movie. Of course, in the movie when what's his nuts? Kill him. You're like, no, you know it's coming, and you don't want to see it.
And then they show it to you.
And then it's like, okay, well, there he goes. It's like, well, that sucks. Yeah, Piggy. Rough book, man. Rough book. Jen's watching some show that I think has some Lord of the Flies just stuff called Yellow Jackets. About a girls' soccer club that plane crashes and they have to survive the plane crash and stuff like that. Yellow Jackets, yeah.
Vaguely horrifying.
I only watched it for a split second as I was walking through the living room and she had it on, but it seemed like it had some Lords of the Flies-ish thing. It has, like, it's done in multiple timelines. One where it's them in the crash and one where it's them grown up afterwards.
Oh, got it.
Reflecting back and living their lives. So I think it has, more going on than, just a story about the breakdown of man in troubling situations.
Yeah.
That Lord of the Flies was. Poor piggy. I just think that the end of the movie, if I remember it correct, with Lord of the Flies, when the ship captain is there, right? And all the boys just break down crying. The horrible things they'll have to live with because they thought they'd never be rescued. Made all those decisions based on their current situation, and then the situation changed, and now you regret a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
It's just a tough one, man. That's not an easy position to put yourself in.
We are going to die if we don't do these things. Oh, we didn't need to necessarily do these things.
You just don't know, right? You can't. Living in the unknown.
You live in the moment.
Just like Lord of the Flies, both book and movie, and the movie made me mispronounce the conch. Pass the conch. You disliked it. Why? The emotions it evokes, the way it described the story. What was? I'm interested to know what causes you to dislike it the most. Very powerful book, but I get it, right? It's disturbing in its way, of course. The human condition is put forth in all of its naked glory. That pronunciation makes you cringe. I like that. Ooh, Darth Vader looking good.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Painting way too fast. I need to slow down over there. Making me look bad. Making me look bad again.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was not expecting to get this much done in 2 hours. This is like way further along than I was expecting to be in 2 hours.
I got all this done on 2 hours. Eat your heart out, internet. That's a lie.
Thanks, Mo.
Tim's like, that's not how you say it? Oh, man.
Doing all right over there?
Yeah. The ending of Stephen King's The Mist. I don't know that I've ever gone all the way through The Mist. You're going down the 1984 rabbit hole to confirm memories of the book and studies in university. Yeah. It's harder and harder to read it. It's like it's like that movie Idiocracy. It's now a nonfiction novel. Nearly. There's a lot in there that is like very, very socially poignant for us in this last decade. You know? For worldwide escapades of governance and stuff. It's crazy. ending to The Mist was a kick in the face. Like I said, I don't know it. I don't know the book. And I think they tried to do like a TV show, but was it the Stephen King TV show? Was it the same thing? The movie? I don't know. Short story for Mist, not bad, just bleak. That film, though, Thomas Jane does a man crying in a way that makes everyone depressed. Oh, really?
Thomas Jane's great. I think that was awesome in Expanse.
In what?
Expanse?
Is he the,
He's
captain?
No. He plays what's his name? Miller. The detective?
Yeah.
From the beginning? Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Talking about fantastic TV shows. And books. Better book than it is a TV show. But it is a good sci-fi TV show.
Not very dystopian, though.
No. It takes a more like what could issues arise, well, minus all the alien stuff. It has a really interesting take on like 200 to 300 years in the future civilization, what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah. It's a cool,
and the show was good in its own right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a weird combo of like low and hard sci-fi. There aren't any like FTL drives or anything. So people gotta like strap in and deal with like ridiculous G-forces when they're, you know, strapping themselves to a rocket, basically. I always thought that was a really cool part of that show and book series.
You like non-happy endings? I like when... I don't know that I can, like, globally say I like non-happy endings, because I don't like stupid horror flick non-happy endings. But I do like gritty realism and kind of dark conclusions, I would say. I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't know that I'm ready to say that it's just a, I like feels bad flicks.
Yeah.
I really do like feels good stuff, but I do like gritty stuff. I liked, I think, if some of my favorite movies, like Seven is a very dark, exploratory movie. And when I walked out of Seven, I was like, I bet a bunch of people hate that, but that's going to be one of my favorite movies of all time. What's in the box? There is no happy way out of that. That whole movie was depressing. But Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman were just phenomenal.
What's this book? Or this movie?
You didn't just say that. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Chat, I don't want to know the answer, but did Baby J just say, what is that? I think he did, didn't he?
All right, let it rip.
Phoenix Mercer said, nope, he didn't say that. Yeah, 13 Monkeys, same kind of thing. Bleak, apocalyptic. Like, oh, crap. Now, that's the standard time travel conundrum one, right? That the more you try to solve the problem, the worse the problem gets.
I like that take on time travel.
Are you talking, did somebody, I'm seeing, were they more like vampires in that, right? Is somebody talking about I Am Legend? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I Am Legend, the book, is a phenomenal story. I Am Legend, the movie, should burn in hell. Right? It's horrible. Horrible in the sense that I know the book and love the book so much. What is this? Like, what did you do? Right? The movie is a zombie movie trying to make money on zombie flicks, and the book is a vampire movie, or is a vampire story, and is amazing. It's amazing. Ghost says I didn't even know it was based on a book. Read I Am Legend. It's a vampire book to like just be like amazing. Last Man on Earth or Omega Man? Omega Man. That's Omega Man. I'm going to stick with my first gut on that. The movie would be fine if it was named anything else. Yes, they tried to take and sell the trope of zombies, which was, I think, more popular in people's production minds, making money minds. We'll turn them into more like zombies. And forget it. But then you lose the whole idea of the book, right? The whole idea of the book is the end, right? Is the replacing of reality with new reality. You know, and we didn't get that in the movie. The movie's just like, it's horrible. Twitch Summerlin says, Silent Earth or Quiet Earth? Oh my God. Wait. You're going to have to, on those two, remind me which is which. Because I don't know that I can tell you. The story is so uncomfortable feeling. Yeah, it really is. The ending really puts you in a contemplative state for that. Right?
For I Am Legend?
Yeah, for I Am Legend. Tremendous audiobook, too, by the way.
Oh, really?
Read very, very well.
I love when you get...
It puts you right in the middle of it, because it is middle America, suburban neighborhood kind of stuff. And it's right there in the middle of it, and it is not like... I read the Mountain Man series to like book 4 or something like that because before it became just stupid. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of, you know, zombies told in a different way that felt kind of cool. But it just got to be too much. You know, I don't need to read 13 books on this thing. But it's still making money. And it felt like the first Mountain Man book to me with regards to zombies. Okay. It's just very like... I can see myself in those positions, which for books of that outlandish nature are hard, you know? But you can be like, oh yeah. Like World War Z. If you read the book World War Z, which is a bunch of short stories told from different perspectives about the outbreak of the zombies. So they're short stories, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's a very short book. The book, and I have the hardback of it. And if it's 150 pages, I'd be surprised.
Oh wow.
And it's a bunch of short stories intertwined about different perspectives of this same eventful thing of the zombie apocalypse breaking out. And you know, it's totally different than the movie that they did. But I get why. But it's a tremendous deal because it puts you there and it puts you thinking about like, dude, you know,
this is crazy, yeah.
Like, you know, it's what Last of Us is trying to do and things like that. I don't think Last of Us does it very well because people turn it into plants doesn't make sense, but I get it. Remember the first time you read the ending and got chills? Omicron, are we still talking about I Am Legend? World War Z is written by Mel Brooks' son. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah, World War Z, the book is really good. Again, like in those kind of tropes of zombie, vampire, werewolf, stuff like that, there's a really good way to bring them into the modern times and talk about it with like blood deficiencies is kind of where I Am Legend goes.
Cool, like interesting sci-fi explanations.
Yeah, it's you know, all of that is generally like pandemic style stuff, which hits a little different now that we've had a pandemic, right? But you know, they generally are something to do with like biological references that really get me because it puts it in a state of that uncanny valley where it's like I can imagine a disease that makes everybody need to supplement their blood cell creation by sucking blood, you know?
Yeah.
That seems plausible. It's probably not, but you know, if you tell it in a way that brings enough hard science into it, you can then do the outlandish stuff and get people freaked the hell out. And I love that, you know, because it does put it in a situation where I'm really forced to think about it and not just be like, oh, who's going to stick the stake in the vampire?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever read the Mountain Man series, or if you haven't and you like zombies.
You?
What's that?
I have not heard of it, and I do like zombies.
If you like zombie stuff, the Mountain Man first, like, 3 books are well worth reading. The first 2 definitely. Amazing storytelling on the zombie apocalypse. But what really gets trippy is that, because my whole thing is, how do the zombies animate for so long? Like, eventually they just fall apart because they're dead. There's nothing left to them. The muscles won't react no matter what's going on in the brain. Muscles won't move because there's no more ligaments and shit to move.
Yes.
Excuse my French. Right? So it handles that pretty well.
Oh, interesting.
It handles that pretty well, but what it throws at you as an antagonist instead, other than just people like The Walking Dead does, because it has a big Walking Dead component to it, where it's like humans.
People are problems.
Humans have devolved to the point to where it's like outlaw land,
Yeah.
and so now you got to fight warlords and crap like that, slavers and things like that. So it has that component going on to it, which a lot of those books, modern books, do. But the rats.
The rats?
If you have read Mountain Man, you know what I mean. Rats is amazing. And that hit really hard for Jen. Well, Jen didn't read the book. It hit hard for me because when the pandemic hit, what happened to us is that the rat population in Central Phoenix moved out into the neighborhoods because all the restaurants closed down and they had nothing to eat.
Oh, no.
And when you think about how the ecosystems of cities work, rats don't have to forage for food in like a natural environment anymore. They hit dumpsters behind restaurants.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the way that works. Well, what happens when the restaurants aren't putting trash out anymore and the trash gets emptied?
They gotta find food somewhere.
They gotta find food someplace, and rodents are among the worst of pack animals at getting voracious when they need to eat.
Yeah.
They'll eat each other, they become cannibals, all sorts of crazy crap happens. Well, so they invaded our house. They came up through the sewer line, through the broken sewer pipe, and nested under my bathtub, and then invaded our walls. And it was like, they just had skittering around all the house, freaking the dog and us out for months and months and months and months.
Oh my God.
Chat knows. We fought it for over a year, right? Disaster, and nobody would do anything. City wouldn't recognize it was a problem. Nobody would. Our whole neighborhood. It was crazy.
Man, I would have moved into a freaking hotel.
Well, I just wanted to burn the house down. We finally got it solved. But we caught. I don't want to say dozens. It wasn't quite that many dozens of rats, but it was crazy.
A lot, yeah.
So when you read Mountain Man, it's like, what happens when the world shuts down? What do the rats do? And it became crazy.
Does that.
Crazy. It was literally like the real Skaven. Like, it was like, what the? There is one scene of being chased in a house that they find with the rats, and the house catching on fire, and rats that are on fire still chasing.
Oh my gosh.
It is like the most heart-pounding thing. It beats out any of the zombie stuff that they threw that poor guy into. Is when he had to be like, rats! And it was like a tidal wave of rats, the way they described it. Like, it was just more rats than you can imagine.
Oh. That's actually horrifying.
Yeah, and some of them were undead rats.
What?
Because they would feast on whatever they could find, and so they had a form of the disease.
Oh, interesting. Because they would just eat whatever.
And they were kind of zombified rats.
Oh, God.
So it had a little Hollywood attached to it too, but in a way that was just like, oh my God.
That's
oh my
disturbing.
God, shoot me now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's zombies and rats?
It's like, why do we also have to deal with the rats?
I'm out. I was okay with zombies. I know how to handle zombies. Oh, blessed rat God, please don't let the rats get me. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Mountain Man by, I don't have my phone with me in here, so I can't tell you. Just look it up on Audible or something. Just Google Mountain Man zombie book. Fine. Mountain Man is the particular character who is the main character in most of them. When he stops being the main character, I kind of stop reading because it starts getting into him integrating with people he finds and life going on, and then slavers taking some of the people and him chasing them across the ocean. It gets stupid in its Hollywood nature at some point. But the first couple of books are very down to earth, very what I call close proximity fiction, meaning that I can imagine that happening to some extent. You have the fanciful fantasy sci-fi part of it, but I can picture us being there. I can picture us huddled up in this building. If zombie apocalypse happened, what would we have to do to survive? And it puts you in that frame. Right? It puts you he finds a house on the hill, with a gate, and he goes and forages in the city, and it's pretty crazy.
Sounds mega disturbing.
Avian says, thanks, Low Fuse. Now wigging out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
You would be getting the biggest mouser you could. Forget it, a family of big mousers. Yeah, we put out like all sorts of traps and stuff in the house. We caught a bunch of big ass rats. The 3 pharma companies. Okay, wait a minute. Twitch Summerlin. I think the correct title is The Quiet Earth. Also, for end of the world stuff, I recommend a low budget Australian film these final hours. So, The Quiet Earth, I feel like I know this. The 3 pharma companies competing for an experimental vaccine to treat the virus and it having no effect or even negative side effects, all to capitalize on the fear of the public. Huge stretch there, would never happen. Oh, I get what you're saying there. I already know what's going on. The Strain, yeah.
I watched that. It was okay. Got a little weird.
Don't read The Stand during the pandemic, Baka. Not good for your mentality, your mental state, right? 28 days later was crazy. 28 days later, even the 28 weeks later one was okay, but it again, it kind of progressed the story to a point where it left me out of that uncanny valley and just became a Hollywood fest. 28 days later threw you into that uncanny valley. And I might not be using that term correctly because it's more of a visual stint, but when I'm watching a movie and I can be like, that's not a far stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're like,
like that's not a
should
far
go
stretch.
home and prepare for this.
Yeah, like I should probably have more bottled water at the house, kind of thing,
yeah.
Right? And some propane, You may like the Breakers series by Edward Robertson, Alien Invasion, but the initial attack was a pandemic that wiped out most of the population. You get the sci-fi side plus the apocalypse. Oh, they like did a bioweapon kind of a thing. There's a lot of sci-fi trope like short stories and stuff out there about alien invasion being that because one of the things that you can do from hard science perspective is launch rocks into orbits. If you have assuming you're mathematically enough, like if you don't have faster than light travel, what you could do is knock a asteroid into a progressive path to have it possibly hit a planet. And there's some tropes out there that alien races that have to traverse space for so long to get to Earth, they can't just pop in this atmosphere like all Independence Day style. So they would do that. They would launch asteroids that were big enough to clear the atmosphere loaded with biological weapons. So when they crashed into the Earth, then by the time they've traversed for however many years it takes to get to Earth, they get there and we're all wiped out. So it's like, hey, easy mode, throw rock, kill whole planet, kind of a thing. I've always dug that kind of stuff because it like makes you think. When we see that big long cigar-shaped thing that came into our solar system recently, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's a natural formation." No. And then you get the other people that are on the other side with the conspiracy about it, but it has lights flickering on and off, and I love that stuff. I will watch that stuff on YouTube till the day I die, man. I would sit there and be like, "Yeah," I love it.
Aliens are coming to get us.
Well, because like Voyager 2. Or Voyager 1. Which one reached the end of the solar system first? I feel like it was 2.
I'm not super familiar.
Does anybody remember this? There's 2 Voyagers out there. One of them is at the end of the solar system, and it's still broadcasting back intermittently, and it's outlasted it's outlasted the time frame they thought that it would be able to project good data.
Yeah, it shouldn't be able to.
The other one's around like Saturn or Jupiter or something and orbiting and taking photos, but the other one's out like past Pluto. And reach something where it was broadcasting back data and information that all the systems are currently reading, as far as I know, still as being reliable. But it's broadcasting that at the end of the solar system is a wall of fire. Yeah, and it got reported, and then whoop, silence. Like now nobody's talking about it. Like literally, it like got to the end of the edge of the solar system, and it's like it was like they started reporting that it's almost like the solar system's wrapped in like a wall of flame. Voyager 1 crossed the heliosphere. Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, about the Buenos Aires asteroid being a false flag to start a war because there's no way bugs could aim their ass plasma to push an asteroid across the galaxy. Starship Troopers is so good. The movie is so good. It's so good. As the kids are all stomping on cockroaches. Oh, it's so good. So good. I love that stuff though, man, because of course my nerd brain just goes immediately into overdrive like, oh, this is so great. This is so great. You know, you want some of it to be true, but you don't really want it to be true. You know?
I don't want any of this to be true. Can we
well, it's like when you're playing the MMO and you get to the edge of the world and there's just nothing there but like weird digitizer. You fall through the world and there's nothing there. I feel like that's what they found is that the simulation stops.
The simulation stops, yeah.
Right? Because the 13-year-old that programmed our simulation didn't really think we'd ever get smart enough
to figure it out.
The 13-year-old that wrote our simulation as his school project never thought that we would actually, that the AI that he generated would evolve to the point where it'd be smart enough to travel beyond what it created as the little home for us. And then now he's grown up and married. And the simulation's just still running, but he doesn't ever check in on us anymore.
In his garage.
Which is why everything's devolving to just absolute crap. When people talk about that stuff, now I'm caught. Now I'm enraptured. I'm like, let's go for it. These make great stories. This makes great talking points. You one for one eagerly await the arrival of our robotic overlords. Have you read Dune? I'm not so sure you want this.
Yeah, I think if you've read Dune, you know this is a bad idea. We don't want this to happen. It didn't turn out so good for them. They kind of like outlawed technology as a result, if I recall. Let's avoid doing things like that.
It's the created V'ger. The creator is that created V'ger. It's Voyager. I thought that was the silliest thing ever in the Star Trek movie. When I saw it the first time, I was like, are you kidding me? Another interesting comic series that isn't too tropey is The Trees by Warren Ellis. Love Warren Ellis. Basically, aliens come to Earth and don't care about communicating. They're here doing something, but humanity doesn't know what. It causes interesting problems. There is a neat, again, I think it's a short story. I love that all of these tie back. Like nothing, it also plays into the nothing's new part, but it is. But there was a short story that I remember in science fiction. Again, I'm never going to remember the name of it, but it was along those lines. It was that aliens came to the planet on, I think it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. They came here on like a science road trip.
A science road trip?
Yeah. And they came here to do science studies, and we were just like ants to them. Not that they were huge, but we were just, you know.
Just dumb ants.
Dumb animals.
Yeah.
We were just dumb animals. I mean, you got to understand, if somebody can traverse the stars, we're idiots.
Yes.
Like, we might as well be like, oh, you'd pet us on the head. Nice dog.
It's like, you microwave your food? What?
Well, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
But they just came and they were just doing their thing. They were doing like, you know, atmospheric readings and all of that. And they were just sitting around and just kind of ignoring, you know, and the military attacked them and their shields deflected it and all that. It's like they knew because they do this all the time. It's like, oh yeah, the fleas are biting, you know, or oh, I got bit by an ant, and so you kill the ant or whatever, but you try to not interrupt the environment too much, you know, so and they never got mad, and they never had any problems, they never communicated, they never did anything, and then they packed up and got in the ship and left, and it just was the story was about humans going mad as it happened and freaking losing our minds, and then the aftermath, of course, you were left to make up in your head as a short story ended, but yeah, it's crazy.
That's a cool idea for a story. That's really neat.
Right? Because it handles so much of the, if they can travel to get here, we're doomed already.
It's like, do they care?
Like, they don't give a damn about us. There's nothing we have that isn't a natural resource that they need from us. Nothing. They don't care to learn our language. They're not trying to communicate. They're not trying to live here with us, you know? We're over. If we see ships in the sky, just kiss your loved ones.
Unless Star Trek got it right, and then maybe we get lucky.
Oh, if there's a whole like empire of people trying to raise us into their good graces, then maybe, but I doubt that's true.
But that's some serious optimism even for me. And
You're imagining us acting like the apes in 2001? Exactly. Exactly. Now we're talking. This is the stuff I love. It's also why I love these movies, you know? It's like banging, you find a bone and beat up our other ape friends with the bone. This is the way it works, right? When is our meeting? 3?
Yeah, I have a meeting with Chris in 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Assuming he's here.
Okay.
Because Chris and I need to discuss things for our meeting at 3.
Gotcha. So you got some prep work to do.
Yeah, it's just finding some last minute things that Chris wasn't able to communicate with us about.
Chris can communicate?
That's
I'm not buying
the problem we're having.
I'm not buying it.
That is the problem we are having. Just kidding, Chris. We love you.
I love these kind of talks on stream because this just gets my nerd juices going so greatly.
It's pretty awesome, I have to admit. And it's cool because I learned a lot about like sci-fi that I never like got a chance to interact with as a kid.
I feel like you've missed out on some greats.
Yeah, and especially considering I have such an appreciation for like good sci-fi and stuff. It's weird that I never got introduced to it younger, right? I think I just never had somebody who was,
well, that's the thing, right? If you don't have an influence, or an avenue that's just tossed at you to find this stuff, a lot of this is really obscure nowadays.
Yeah.
Like when I was in school, you read Slaughterhouse-Five.
Yeah.
Which is a sci-fi novel.
So I read 1984.
Yeah. So 1984, technically sci-fi, if you want to call it that. It's dystopian sci-fi. It's like near future dystopian sci-fi, so it's not 100%, but and those things are not as common, I guess, anymore. I don't know.
I'm very happy that was turned out.
No, it looks great. Fantastic job. Black armor. Oh, he's in the same Earth as your other dudes.
Yep. I wanted to have it be consistent. Here, let me zoom
out. I don't like you know what I don't like about that model? I don't like the Doctor Strange BS on the base.
This thing?
Yeah.
You can remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's... Soylent Green is amazing.
I thought that it added something really nice to this pose. But it does, like, you can just take this off here.
Yeah, I'm like, it makes it look like it's a thing, because I'm so in tune with 40K, it makes it look like it's some sort of follower.
Like a servitor type thing?
Yeah, like a servitor kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the nice
I'm never a fan of that, because I always feel like it's too specific for war games. Yeah. I feel like war games want to be, this model in an environment, not so specific with like particular dead things on the base, because I'm never going to be fighting those same dead things all the time.
Well, this is just like a
on the base, but I'm fighting Iron Warriors.
Force throwing at somebody, right?
No, I get it.
Because I agree with you. A lot of that kind of stuff kind of was just like...
I also know that Dallas is a huge fan of like tactical rocks and BS like that, so...
Yeah.
He's gonna...
That's true.
He's
Dallas
gonna throw
is
that
gonna
in.
Dallas.
Dallas is gonna Dow.
Don't worry, Dallas. We still love and appreciate you. Life. What's funny is I don't even know what this model does in the game. I don't care.
It's cool. Darth freaking Vader, man.
It's probably awesome because like you said, it's Darth freaking Vader.
I don't know that he ever have to. He might have bad rules. It's still Darth Vader.
Yep, that's where I'm at. I was like, cool model, check.
Freaking Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, check.
Freaking
anything else doesn't really matter.
It's freaking Darth Vader. I like her skirt now.
You like her skirt now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like the skirt.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Said tactical rock. Now you need to find Grimaldus' servitors to carry your LT's tactical rock. Yeah, it is Shatterpoint pragmatic.
Yep.
Soylent Green is one that I would go back and watch again. Yeah, it's Charlton Heston, right? Soylent Green's really good. Another dystopian.
Is that the actual name of the...
They Live. Soylent Green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that was actually...
Yeah, it's a food product in the future when it's like... But it's made out of people.
Yeah, I knew what it was, but I didn't know that was like the name of the media. Like the book or whatever.
Yeah, Soylent Green. Corpse Starch. Yeah, Omega Man. That's why earlier when I was asked, I was like, Omega Man. Definitely got to be Omega Man. You missed the era of corpo dystopian stories. About Time. Is that what that movie is called that I'm always talking about? About Time with Justin Timberlake? It's a tremendous story. You may not like the movie, but the story's really, really good.
I need to go see what the situation is with Chris.
I'll shut everything down. You just say bye. In time, not about time. In time.
In time. All right, chat. I got a jet. Thanks for hanging out with me. You can enjoy the company of this wonderful man for the rest of the stream.
I
need to go talk about a thing. But don't worry, it's for you guys. And for us. But for you guys. So, enjoy. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'll see you in 30 minutes. Hey,
About Time is a time travel story, also quite good. I knew there was an About Time as well, Twitch. Aliens on Road Trip to Look at Us Ants is called Roadside Picnic, I think. Oh. There's also something the Galactic Bus. Which I might get my stories completely mixed up, but there was and I can't remember I don't remember something Galactic Bus, and it was a book about aliens coming to Earth and how humans got started. It was like a drunken revelry before they had to go back to school. It was like a bunch of maybe graduating college or going off to college kids on a spaceship, coming for like a hangout on Earth kind of thing, and they come to Earth and mess around with monkeys, and we get humans, and then they split, and leave this planet unattended when that was kind of like the prime directive, right? You're not supposed to do that, so they break all the rules, and then humanity starts, and now the universe is left to deal with us because we haven't had a father figure. It's actually tongue-in-cheek. It's pretty. Waiting for the Galactic Bus. You consume those dystopian stories for like 3 years. Animal Farm, Soylent Green, 1984, Running Man. Running Man's a good one. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie I'm not a big fan of because Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it was good. Rollerball. You remember Rollerball, the movie? Right? With James Caan. Rollerball. If you haven't seen Rollerball, it probably doesn't live up to what I'm going to hype it as, but as a kid growing up, Rollerball was one of my favorite movies. It was so great. It was kind of a dystopian, it was the fall of Rome trope, society gets like we are, where, it gets so proud of itself and so stagnant and apathetic that everybody gets joy only from watching, war games. So Rollerball is like, people trying to put the ball in the net. It's a big hole in the wall, magnetic hole in the wall, big steel ball, and it's like, it's rollerball. It's like roller derby with big dudes beating the crap out of each other. And they have studded spiked gloves and they pound each other to a pulp. It's gladiatorial combat in the future. A great story, though. Great story. Gozu says, I haven't seen that in years. It's American Gladiators. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, it's a nutty, brain damaged future where, you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see what's wrong because you're too busy just, living. It's a good one. Yeah, you start to, if you read sci-fi, you read a lot of this, you start to find these very similar, a lot of people would say sci-fi only has like 7 stories, 6 or 7 stories. It's how you tell those stories that makes a difference, right? Because it's either like, mankind leaving Earth to find new pastures because we've ruined the pasture we have here. These types of things with a dystopian future, I call it the fall of Rome. But yeah, you start to see that there's only a handful of story themes, really. And then just how do you play with those themes? Because they're all very human themes. I think it's a lot of fun. Hitchhiker's Guide is one of your favorites. It's amazing. Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide. Douglas Adams had the ability to pull stuff together in such a funny way. It really was amazing. The first time I read, because my dad was a sci-fi nut, so we had this library at the house, which is funny because we had such a small house packed with people, but we had a room that had bookshelves and was loaded with books. And so I got to have all these great sci-fis, and he was a member of the science fiction book club and like Asimov's, the sci-fi mag Analog. I think it was Isaac Asimov's Analog, which was kind of a what do you call it, anthology. And then Omni, I think it was the other one was. Omni was also a science fiction anthology. And they would come out monthly, and you get this, it's like a little square bound, half size book, I think. and it was loaded with short stories. It would always have like the award-winning short stories for science fiction in them and things like that. Those were great. I used to love that. But that's what I grew up on. So I had all these stories, you know, and even as a kid, you'd be like, oh, this is my favorite kind of sci-fi story, because they were all very similar in what they would talk about. It was awesome. You can't read Hitchhiker's Guide now without imagining the movie or hearing the obnoxiously positive computer. Like the Restaurant at the End of the Universe, and all, it's just a great series. It really is a great series, and I wish that people didn't find stuff like Hitchhiker's Guide through the movie or through the TV series, because it needs to be a book first experience. It really does. Nobody can bring that to visual in a way that makes you feel what the books make you feel, in my opinion. And so I wish that people didn't. There should be a disclaimer: this movie will not play until we read your brain and know you've read the book, kind of a thing, because you need to read the books. They're so good. You've got his copies of the paperbacks and an American First Edition Silmarillion. Yeah, I think my mom still has a First Edition Silmarillion hardback. Big, huge freaking tome of death. We grew up with a big Lord of the Rings poster. Rectangular poster of a Nazgul flying over Mount Doom in a very impressionistic kind of sense. And it was just a poster. I don't even know if it was framed. It might have just been thumbtacked to the wall. I can't remember. But that was like behind our couch growing up. Yeah, it was amazing. Big orange and red volcanic mountain with all sorts of little interesting things in it. You could look, and like in the bottom, you'd see like the banners of the orcs and goblins marching through, you know, the crevasses in Mordor and all that. It was a lot. It was very fun to, you know, it's kind of like a Where's Waldo. You can find all sorts of little things in this thing that when you stood back just looked like a mountain with volcano ash and like a dragon flying. It was really neat. The Hobbit picture book, which are stills from the animated movie. The one where the goblins were the big fat, the orcs and goblins were like big fat-faced dudes. That's like my favorite. That's like the where there's a whip, there's a way. Where they sing the songs, right? That was great. Then there's also the Lord of the Rings that was done by Ralph Bakshi, right? That was done rotoscope. Yeah, the Rankin Bass Hobbit. Yeah. And then the Bakshi Lord of the Rings that was really crazy with all the rotoscope. I think it had a bunch of rotoscope stuff in it. Oh yeah, it definitely did. Because there's a scene in the Bakshi Lord of the Rings where Aragorn is running, and when they were doing the rotoscope filming of the actor running, he trips over his sword. His sword scabbard, when he's running, it's swinging on his hip on the belt, and it goes between his legs. And so, like, if you're running and somebody puts a stick between your legs and you trip, if you watch the Lord of the Rings Bakshi, they left it in because I guess they were like out of film in the camera, so they couldn't do another shot. So that was it. As they're like running to Weathertop, being chased by the Nazgul, and Aragorn and the hobbits are running, and his sword gets stuck between his legs and he trips and falls. It's in the movie. Like they just rotoscoped it. The animated guy trips on his sword. You see the scabbard go between his leg and he falls over. It's hilarious. If you read about all of that stuff, it really is interesting. Wasn't rotoscope for Ice and Fire? Ice and Fire was rotoscoped as well. A lot of Bakshi stuff had rotoscoping in it. Heavy Traffic. I think I don't know if Fritz the Cat did. Right? But Lord of the Rings was rotoscoped. Ice and Fire was rotoscoped. There was a lot of rotoscope scenes in Wizards. Right? Bakshi did Wizards, yep. Wizards, yep. Avian. Lumberjack Tim, rotoscoping is where they would film the actors doing the motions. It's kind of like motion capture today. They filmed the actions doing the motions, and then they just animated the actors. They drew over the actor doing it. So the motion was a lot more realistic because you filmed all of those takes. They just weren't in an environment, you know. Imagine just filming them in a big white room running around in barely the clothes. You didn't have to do the full costumes or any of that stuff. And sometimes they did, but you didn't have to spend as much money on all of that because you were bringing the details into the animation, but the acting and the motion was done from filming real actors. Hitchhiker's Guide movie first because when you read the books, I see Most Def as Ford Prefect. Yeah, Wizards was one of my favorite movies of all time. All time. That's why we did the homage to Necron 99, right? Peace. If you've seen Wizards, if you know that whole thing. Oh God, I can't get him off of here because of poster tack. What? He's poster tacked to my shelf, chat. Pop him up. Holy. What the heck is going on here? Oh my God. Like, I literally can't get this model off of the shelf. Show you. Holy crap, dude. Kidding me. That's insanity. Some sort of science happening here makes me definitely not want to try to pull him up off of that. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know if I have anything I can get this model off of the shelf with. Maybe a knife blade. Ah, we have the tools. Aha! Holy mackerel, dude. There was just a little bit of poster tack on the bottom of this guy. But this was the model I designed for the Mother Loving Paint Party, right? That we did. That was an homage to Ralph Bakshi. I contacted Ralph Bakshi, and he's still alive. I contacted him, and I said, hey, I want to do Necron 99 as a miniature for a paint-along we're doing. Would you mind if we did that? And we'd license it or whatever you need. I wanted to do the actual Necron 99. And they said no. they didn't give me much of the time of day. And but when I said I would do an homage piece that was similar but completely different, and I did this, then they gave a thumbs up. So and didn't require any licensing or anything. So that was actually a win for us. But we did this, which is the same pose pretty much for Necron 99, except that I put a box of presents and a teddy bear and stuff like that on him, and it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Turkey, right? Avian says, who did that to you? It stuck. It had a little bit of poster tack, and when poster tack gets old, it might as well be super glue, and it was just sitting on a shelf, and it just, over time, just stuck, right? Slayer Street said, is that like what they use for the Animatrix? No, in modern times, they'll do motion capture. They'll put the suits with all of the little reflectors on it, and they'll still film the actor doing the motions. They do that for video games and stuff, so it makes the motion look more fluid and realistic. So motion capture is what they use nowadays. I don't know if anybody rotoscopes anymore. You could. It's not a dead technology. What is Necron 99? You had to Google it. Necron 99 was also called Peace because he was an assassin in the movie Wizards, who was just an animated blow-up doll, basically. He had a red suit and funky eyes and funny little thing on his head that was kind of like, you know, the hat here. And he carried a shotgun, and he was supposed to hunt down the good guys. Wizards is a movie about two brothers who are wizards. One of them is a short garden gnome looking dude who has a very beautiful fairy girlfriend, and their menagerie of crazy oddballs that are fighting for good. And then the evil wizard, who is kind of like he's the Hitler-esque thing. He wants to take over humanity and force his power on everybody, and he's bringing technology into it. And the fairies and the you know, free folk, so to speak, want to keep magic as the thing. And so the older brother is like some tall, what would you say? He's kind of like evil Gandalf looking guy. He has weird like bone arms. It's really crazy when you look up the art. It was fantastic. And it's a story about them fighting one another. And they use a lot of rotoscoping in that because like they used a lot of rotoscoping that used video footage from World War II, because it had like the the German army marching goose step, and they would animate over it and turn it into their own army of these crazy orcs and goblins and evil beings that were doing the goose step. So they put animated faces on, World War II historic footage. But there's a lot of meme-worthy stuff that you've probably seen from Wizards that exists. So. Dungeon Crawler Carl is an awesome audiobook series, very funny, but also has some really dark moments. Every time I ask someone for sci-fi or fantasy book recommendations, I get some obscure, overly excited description like this. It's nonsensical and reminds me of a toddler describing some nuance of peanut butter, but I love you. I mean, you have to be adventurous or you're just boring, right? So don't be boring, hairdo. Go drink some of our excitement. Drink the Kool-Aid and don't be boring. Consider me boring and practical. There's no practicality to not having fun, man. You can go out and have fun. Wizards is a funky movie. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that it'll be everybody's taste, because it was very, late 60s, early 70s, would do way too many drugs kind of flick. All of Bakshi's stuff was. If you've ever seen Fritz the Cat, it was like the first X-rated animated movie. There's a lot of weird stuff out there. Heavy Traffic. What was another one that was American? No, it wasn't. I can't remember. He did a lot of really crazy stuff. It was a very, Summer of Love, kind of weird, druggy, pot smoking, kind of weird crap going on. So for some people, it's a little hard to keep up with. But as a sci-fi flick, Wizards is actually very, very good. And you can still find it from time to time. I think you can find the whole. For a while, you could find the whole movie on YouTube. I think it got struck and taken down because it wasn't a licensed channel thing. I haven't looked in a long time. I have it on DVD someplace because it's just one of my favorites. The image is literally of Peace, the red-suited assassin, on his weird bird-like avian steed in this pose. I mean, this is literally the cover of the movie. It's a white cover with him sitting on a hill on his bird steed like this, except on the back of his saddle it says Peace. Except he's an assassin, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, there you go. We made these. I designed this. It was sculpted by the guy over at Mini Monster Mayhem, and we sold them for a year, or for 3 months. Limited and gone. Rent for $4. There you go. Buy on YouTube for 10, rent for 4. There you go. I'm not going to say it'll be the best $4 spent of your life. I'm just saying, for me personally, it was a great experience, and I still love the movie. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can't drink the paint. Don't eat the paint. Don't drink. Drinking is literally the same thing as eating. You just don't use as many teeth. The dwarf magician has a fairy girlfriend, yes. Wizards was odd for you, T. Schmidt. Yeah, like I said, it's not for everybody. Not for everybody. Black Wolf was his name. Yeah, the bad guy. Edgelord name right there. How much weed did you smoke before you watched it? Are you asking T. Schmidt? I've never been a big smoker or anything. You have it on Laserdisc and you know it. I can't lie and say I never had Laserdisc, but I don't think Wizards ever made it to Laserdisc. If it did, that's crazy. I don't think I had it on Laserdisc. I had the whole Godfather. They did a really cool Godfather trilogy on Laserdisc that was in chronological order, which was bitchin'. They took 2 and 3 or Godfather 1 and 2 and took the parts of 2 that happened before 1 and put them in visual chronological order. That was great. I had Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I had the Star Wars trilogy on Laserdisc, which was one of the first times they had ever gone back and edited the visuals to get rid of all the weird stuff that happened when the spaceships were flying through space and you could see the square frames around them. They went back and did a lot of work on that before they ever did DVD. Man, Laserdisc was my jam. Laserdisc was my jam. Everybody would come to my house. I had a big Pioneer Laserdisc player, and nobody knew what the hell that stuff was for years and years, until the Laserdisc player crapped the bed and you couldn't get another one, and I was like, damn it. Damn it. Crypt Shadows, Wizards like heavy metal? I mean, similar, yeah. They all came from that same age of wild, drug-induced visuals. Heavy metal was was crazy. Heavy Metal, the other one, was not so great. So was The Wall, yeah. You realize that I said Laserdisc is a sarcastic old man reference, but then you literally describe every cool redo of movies on Laserdisc. I can't even insult you. Hey, man, I've been there, done that. I was a huge I really wanted Laserdisc to win out over DVD because Laserdisc visuals were so much better, right? They kept the feeling of film on digital format, whereas DVD made it all like super high res, which lost the depth of like watching Apocalypse Now on the movie screen. I had Apocalypse Now on Laserdisc. I was like, bitches, watch this. Of course, you had to like stop it halfway through and change the disc, which was kind of you had like intermissions on Laserdisc. My Laserdisc player would not flip the disc because it was huge, but the head would move, and so it could play both sides without taking it out. But a lot of them you had to flip it like a record, and so people didn't dig it. The technology was dead on arrival, but it was still cool. It was still cool. Your real only memory of Laserdisc was the one at our school that none of the teachers could figure out. It was so funny. It was so funny. You had to flip your, Rancid. Like I had the later Panasonic or Pioneer. I think Pioneer was Laserdisc, maybe not Panasonic. Whichever one was the one that backed it. One was DVD and one was Laserdisc. But because they were biggest record. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you've seen an LP, a piece of vinyl, Laserdisc was the first video done digitally, and it was on a thing that was as big as a record, but heavy, right? And it would come multiple discs for a movie because you couldn't pack that much data into this huge thing. Then DVD came out, and you could get the whole trilogy on a small disc. So of course it won, and you never had to flip it because the DVD only played on one side. Laserdisc with both sides, so it was thick and heavy. And you'd have to take it out and flip it like a record to get the second half of the movie. It would literally say intermission, flip the disc. It was crazy. Avian, you got a Laserdisc player? You lucky bastard. I think, for years I had the box that had the Star Wars Laserdiscs, the Godfather Laserdisc, and a few others that were really, really cool to have on Laserdisc that I thought I'd just keep. But I don't know if I have those anymore. They might be in storage. But I know I don't have the player anymore. Yeah, it was just a giant two-sided CD. It was crazy. Your next door neighbor had a Laserdisc and invited your mom over to watch a live Pink Floyd disc as a date, but she brought you and your brothers. Oh, that's awesome. Rancid, you still have your player and your disc? Does your player work? Oh my god, now you're gonna make me go find my discs. If I can find my disc, can we have a date? And I'll bring like the Star Wars trilogy. Laserdisc is so good. So good. It was the first thing I had, right? It was the first thing I had that had digital audio output. It had a fiber audio output, right? The problem with it is that it only has the composite video out. Or I think mine might have had RGB. So that you could actually, it had like composite, which was the one cable that goes to the TV before HDMI, and then it had RGB, so you could plug it into a projector. But you wouldn't be able to plug it into a TV nowadays. Do TVs even come with composite inputs? You have to buy a box. I think I still have Laserdisc, babe. I think they're out at the storage facility in one of those boxes, maybe. I don't remember. I might have thrown them away. Who knows? Who knows? Spidiff. Yeah, you forgot a D. Spidiff. The first fire of the season real close. Oh, man. Take care, Hairdo. Be safe. California burning to the ground. All right, gang. That's going to be it for the stream. I've had an absolute blast talking and painting. We got a lot done on the burgundy skirt. I'm really happy with where the skirt is right now. I think we're pretty close to done there. I'm going to leave it like that until we get more of the rest of the model finished, but I'm digging that. I will do the same kind of brightening with the stippling of the edges on the purple in a couple of spots because I really dig it, and I think those materials would look good being very similar. But I also like from the front, I like the fact that this looks like it might be a little bit more textured right? And not as shiny. So I don't know. I'll play around with it. Maybe we'll paint the gold. My goal is really to get going on to the non-metallic gold next, because that's what's really going to make the rest of the model pop. So that's where I'll be starting in on Monday. Remember, if you're new here, please hit one of the follow button. Just hit the follow button. We stream 5 days a week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like today, 12 noon Pacific time until 2 p.m. our hobby lunch, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays we start later at that 2 p.m. slot and go till 5. But it gives you 5 chances to catch up with us. We'd love to see you back here. As you can see, we talk a lot of nerd stuff. You can take me down the rabbit hole and defocus me very easily by getting me talking about sci-fi movies. So I'm that guy. Like, if you don't want to watch me paint, just talk about nerd stuff. But thanks so much for hanging out and keeping it going for me. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. Make sure to check out the links that Jen threw up there for the store and the Discord and the FLGS link. You can go and check out all of Monument Hobbies products that we manufacture here at our HQ in Arizona, as well as join us on live on the Discord all the time, where we're on there with thousands of artists just like you. Great inspiration and things to do. And then the FLGS link will show you all the store locator locations where you can find and see if there's a store close to you that you can go support and buy our products there. But love your faces. Don't go changing. Have a wonderful weekend. Stick around for a raid. We'll give you somebody, hand you off to somebody else for some good hobby stuff before you head into the weekend. And we'll see you on the other side. Adios, gang.